Yeah, welcome to Two Cents, the weekly dollar views post news show, I guess you could say. I'm Brian Gillis.
Are we calling it that now? That's
I mean, the way I explain to people, I'm like, oh, they're like, what are you doing tonight? I'm like, oh, I'm doing my podcast. They're like, what do you mean? It's my news podcast. And they're like, what do you mean? It's a news roundup. It's what it is.
I've gotten less formal in like how I've explained it now. Just when I talk about it with friends, just okay, it's just me and another guy. We just bullshit about movies and news and have fun
Yeah.
doing it. That's all it is to me now.
I mean, it's kind of what it was originally.
Yeah,
I mean, it was more theory, I think, in the beginning.
I think the theory stuff just kind of comes out of the news, and
Yeah.
it's more just speculation of what I mean. At least on my end, this is kind of how I think of how, for a certain topic of what something might mean for the future of the industry in terms of just how certain properties are handled by studios. Which we'll get into that later this week, especially. But yeah, how you been, man?
Been pretty good. I went to Long Beach Comic Con today, which isn't the biggest event. It's like it's been going for about 5 years now. So I'm actually going to be writing like a little piece on it. I was lucky enough to go with a press pass. I didn't get it through this, but we could have easily done it.
How did you get that?
It wasn't difficult. The person I went with, my rabbi, Drew Kaplan, he has two blogs. He has a Star Wars one, and then he has one called Matters of Interest. And so I'm going to write something up for him, just kind of like things I observed, some interesting things. My angle is going to be never been to an event like this, and this is what I saw, and this is what I experienced. I did have one thing of note happen, though, when I was there. John Schnepp, the director of The Death of Superman Lives, he was there. He had a booth, and so I talked to him. I gave him my business card, and I told him about our show shortly, or briefly rather. And he said maybe he'll send us a digital copy, so that would be awesome. I'd love to watch that and review it.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Yeah, I told him, I was like, well, I'm thinking about it. I've told him about it. I told you about it, and so that'd be really cool.
You should try to get an interview.
Yeah, well, like
Yeah.
I didn't have a press pass. I just had my wristband, and the other three people I was with, they had it was just a
I'm
badge.
just saying that's
but
a good opportunity right there.
yeah,
You
whatever.
never know. Yeah.
I gave him my business card, so hopefully, he looks us up.
Good God, you have a business card. What am I
I
doing?
do. I need to get a better business card. The business card that I have, I made when Dollar Views first started. In
Back in 2012.
2012. So it's kind of dated. Like it has a Tumblr on it. But other than that, besides it having the Tumblr, it's exactly the same thing. Just got to put the WordPress website on there. dollarreviewspodcast.wordpress.com if you're interested out there. I mean, you're obviously interested. You're listening, but if you didn't know. But I guess we should jump into it. It's September 13th, so we're going to cover everything that just happened. Probably the biggest thing that happened this week, even though it doesn't mean much since the movie's coming anyway, Sam Smith was confirmed to be singing the Spectre theme.
Yeah, or he already recorded it. Actually, I think that's already locked.
He definitely recorded. Yeah, it's done. It's just he like teased it. I think it was last Sunday, and then it was confirmed on Monday or Tuesday. There was like 1 day of speculation, if that. It was like 13 hours. And they're like, yeah, you can't hold a secret. You want a Grammy or whatever. Yeah, you're doing it. It's kind of the way it goes. English singer, songwriter that's big at the time. Except like Madonna, that's kind of curious.
I mean, the way that I see it, like I'm not expecting big things out of
That
this
Adele
thing.
one is amazing, though.
Yeah,
so.
I know, and it's one of those rare ones that just come like
In the
every.
sky,
It seems like just every decade at least has its own distinguishable Bond theme.
I really like the Madonna one from Die Another Day. I'm gonna
Okay.
die.
I kind
Another
of
day.
I still love that movie. Especially
That was
when
the
I was a
first
kid.
Bond I saw in theaters.
Yeah, same here actually. Not my first Bond film, but the first one in the theater. Yeah, but I can't help but laugh at that theme now. I mean,
I don't care.
just that lyric where she's like Sigmund Freud.
It's like it's like the last good Madonna song.
I don't know if I'd call it good. I mean,
It's catchy.
I remember it, but last decade actually there weren't that many. Well, there weren't
No.
that many Bond movies to begin with. There's only 3. Actually.
I mean, you can't do worse than the Quantum of Solace one with Jack White. That song was just bad.
It's okay.
No.
I really honestly there isn't a Bond theme that I hate other than I don't know, probably the Duran one for A View to a Kill. That one just doesn't sit right with me, but
They have to go on YouTube and like find a playlist of all the original songs.
Yeah, but, there's a lot of good Bond themes. Well,
Die Another Day. I'm not Die Another
yeah.
Day. Diamonds Are Forever. I love that one. Kanye loves it too.
I mean, I wouldn't say there's bad Bond themes out there. There's just kind of some that are blah. Like the one for the man with the golden gun is just, it's okay.
I think it's one of those things where
that's one of the like least interesting ones to me. But
I haven't. I'm not big on Bond movies. When I watch them, I really enjoy it, but I rarely go out there and like, oh, let me see all the ones that's ever made. I'm not that kind of James Bond fan.
Yeah, that's a big part of my childhood. Like there was when I discovered Bond, like around the time I was 10, like there was a phase where I was just into like watching all the Bond films that I could and getting every copy that I could. I mean, that's
I need
that's
to
a
rewatch.
huge thing for me.
Yeah, I definitely need to rewatch them all or see some of them for the first time. Like I've seen all of the, I believe I've seen all of the classics, like Moonraker and Dr. No, From Russia with Love, etc. But like the Roger Moore stuff, I haven't seen most of it. I don't think I've seen Octopussy.
It's okay. I mean, even for like the Bond films like Octopussy, where they're not
embracing the 70s.
Well, they're not, or 80s. I mean, they're not that great, but then I appreciate them more now, especially when like for Bond films, like because the big appeal for Bond action scenes is that everything is done practically, like for real. And I mean, there is stuff in like, especially in the opening of Octopussy, where it's just there are stunts that are way too insane that I just can't help but appreciate them more and more now, especially when we see just more things that are heavily dependent on CGI, which is not a bad thing necessarily. It's unless it's being lazy, but it's just I mean. There is that expectation, I guess, when you watch Bond films now, especially, like, you have to be as practical as possible, which is the route that they're taking now, and not doing cheesy CGI parasurfing scenes like Die Another Day.
Well, I hope that this one opens big, just for if no other reason than
it will.
It's Sony's last movie on the contract. I'm sure they're going to re-up because they kind of need it since they basically lost Spider-Man. But Sony's making moves, even though, they're the bottom dog at the box office this year. They just announced that they're picking up The Bronze, which was a big Sundance hit this past year. It's supposed to be hilarious, because that got dumped by Relativity. It's not on their slate anymore since they're in bankruptcy. They're, trying to figure out something to do. And on top of that, the other news that Sony had this week was that they joined Warner Brothers by signing up for Dolby Vision, which is their Dolby's HDR tech, which is supposed to be amazing. So Warner Brothers Blu-ray is coming out soon, are going to have it, like the Lego Movie and whatnot, and it sounds like Sony's 4K stuff is going to have it too, which I would assume, like the first Continent is going to be the last two Spider-Man movies, probably the most recent James Bonds.
Like legit 4K Blu-rays, right? Not the mastered in 4K
No. Like
stuff.
the UHD Blu-ray is with the HDR.
Have they put out their slate yet? Because I've only seen Fox's so far.
I'm not sure. Warner Brothers has. For sure the Lego Movie's on there.
No doubt.
Yeah, because when they announced...
Maybe even Mad Max.
That would be awesome. When they announced the partnership with Dolby a couple of months ago, it was like June, actually, I believe. That was one of the first movies that was listed. So who knows? But I mean, Warner Brothers is up to a lot of stuff. Well, not necessarily them, but Legendary. Somehow, Legendary took Kong Skull Island away from Universal and is making a Warner Brothers film. Because they're trying to make a monster movie universe with Godzilla.
I mean, I just assumed that Godzilla was like a part of Legendary, and that Warner Brothers just they were basically distributors.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So I assumed that the Godzilla sequel would just go to Universal, but that's not the case.
No, that's not the case. No, Warner's, because that was like Godzilla's the first movie that Legendary made with Warner's. Like that was the first one after they left Universal once their contract expired. And from what I read, since King Kong is it's free license, like the copyright extinguished forever ago. There's no contracts or anything. It's not like Universal owned the rights to King Kong. Anyone can make a King Kong movie.
Universal already made their King Kong movie.
Exactly. Yeah. So production barely started, and plus it's been delayed with lots of people jumping ship and whatnot. The plan is Godzilla 2 is going to come out. No. I mean, Kong Skull Island, Godzilla 2, and then whatever mashup they do. And I'm assuming that they're just going to go the extra step and add whatever other monsters they can. Like, if Godzilla 2 is a success, and I hope it is, then, maybe they'll add Mothra or King Ghidorah or Mechagodzilla or whatever.
I mean,
anything.
Yeah, I love the idea, like, right away. I mean, and, like, I've even seen King Kong versus Godzilla. I guess the one thing that I hope doesn't happen is that Gareth Edwards doesn't get brought in to direct it.
I doubt that would happen.
I mean, like,
he's already doing a Star Wars. So.
Yeah, I don't hate the guy, but it's just, especially after Godzilla and after Monsters, like,
I like Monsters.
I respect Monsters for what it was done.
It's like the
at that
anti-blockbuster.
Yeah, but then I think Godzilla just kind of made it clear, like, oh, it's his sensibilities are not entirely that different when you give him a budget that's at $200 million.
He's more interested in the explosions that happen off camera.
Yeah, it's he's great at build-up. I mean, there are really cool moments in Godzilla, but it's just I don't. It was a frustrating movie to me. I mean, if you're gonna have King Kong and Godzilla fight each other, at least show them doing it on screen. Don't just talk about it happening.
I'm pretty sure if Legendary is taking this step, that they're gonna make it truly happen. Because we've talked about this before, and I'm pretty sure that the reason this collaboration between us even happened is because you read my Godzilla review. So you already know how I stand on this subject. Like, I want. The last thing, one of the last things you see on screen in Edwards Godzilla is the tagline on the TV says, Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Mm-hmm. With a question mark.
Yeah, the question mark. So that basically is saying next time he's going to fuck up other monsters, right? I would hope so. Maybe there's two Godzilla, hence Godzilla 2.
I don't know. I mean, that world is not exactly... Well, it's... I guess it's the same world as the original Godzilla, because they acknowledge that history, but, as far as a modern series, I'm not sure where it's at exactly. That, and also, I saw the original Godzilla only once, and it's not at all fresh.
Up well. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of enjoyed it then. I just kind of threw it on as something in the background, but it's not fresh in my mind at all, so maybe that's just me. Maybe I have to brush up on my history a bit more, because I know that there are people that love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I tried really hard,
but
I
the Matthew
couldn't get
Broderick
into it.
one too, though. So
it certainly had a lot of fish, but
imagine if they made a sequel to that movie with all the babies.
No, they won't, because it tanked.
No, I'm saying, like, imagine they had, like 2000 or whatever it was, instead of, like, that movie did so poorly that someone distributed the Japanese Godzilla 2000 movie here, because I remember that getting trailers and billboards.
I remember, yeah, I saw trailers for that when I was a kid.
They're like, wow, what happened to the CG? This looks horrible.
I mean that's not a U.S. production at all.
No, it's made by what's the name of the company that actually owns the rights to Godzilla?
In Japan?
Yeah, they've been making them since the get-go.
I don't know.
They still make them.
Wait, Toho?
Yeah, it's Toho. Yeah. They still make them. I think the last one they had was it was like 4 or 5. No, it was like, I think it was Godzilla Wars. It was like 2008. Yeah, but they have one, I believe, coming next year. So that should be good.
I'm not a Godzilla aficionado at all.
Yeah,
so I mean, but conceptually, like, the idea of Kong and Godzilla fighting, I'm into that. Like, I did watch the '60s movie, and I thought it was okay.
I think it's the perfect.
I would have had more fun with it probably if I was, younger. But I love King Kong. Like, I've always had a soft spot for King Kong, both for the original film and even for Peter Jackson's version. I love that version of it too. So I'm all for it.
I'd like turn that movie off.
You weren't into it?
Once they left Skull Island, I turned the movie off. I think that's pretty much why this movie is called Kong Skull Island.
Oh man, I love that movie.
I love Jack Black, but he was hamming it up big time.
He was great. I think in character he was great. Absolutely. Like, his character was a dick, but I think it worked.
I mean, he was more interesting than Adrian Brody, that's for sure.
I mean, I thought that was a great casting choice. Just a lot of people associate Jack Black as being a comedian. I thought it worked. I thought it was brave, and I thought it totally paid off.
I mean, he did the Orson Welles thing really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on. Actually, backtrack. This movie is going to be, I'm assuming, it doesn't have a release date right now, but we still got 2 movies to be released before it. I'm assuming that it's probably going to be out sometime around 2020. Especially with what Warner Brothers has on their slate with all the superhero stuff. Also, new Harry Potter movies. Probably more Hobbit movies that we don't know about yet.
No, not that far, but go on.
Maybe. VR is gonna, really get introduced like 6 months from now. I think that this Godzilla versus King Kong movie would be the perfect opportunity to not film the whole thing, mind you, but definitely have a VR experience in the same way that Warcraft has one, except that's kind of like a proof of concept type thing from what I've read. It's like flying on some animal's wing. But like if you experience that fight in VR, and it's not like it would cost extra money really. Like the rigs they announced, like the one that GoPro is making, I think has 16 cameras on it. It's something like $8,000, which is chump change for a studio.
I mean, I've said this before. I'm still open to VR. Like, I'm sure in my mind, I'm not picturing it in a way of what it's actually gonna be. And I mean, also, there's just things like maybe I'm just, I'm a traditionalist. I'm too precious about the cinematic experience. And like the massive screen and all that, but like
Have you done
standing
the
in the
Godzilla?
in the middle of that fight, I'm totally open to that idea of seeing what that would be like.
Have you done the King Kong thing at the Universal Studio Tour?
How long has it been there?
Um,
Because I have not been to Universal Studios since probably like 2001.
I know it definitely wasn't there yet. I mean, the
Yeah,
movie wasn't out yet.
I haven't been there since Jurassic Park 3
I
came
want to
out.
say they built it's part of the studio tour. You drive through it. It's like kind of where the old King Kong thing was, and there's like a little homage to it. You see the broken bridge and whatnot, or not King Kong, like the breaking bridge. It doesn't matter. It's probably been there since like 2009, but it's like very lame VR. Like it's like a VR. It's proto VR because you have these huge like IMAX screens on each side of the tram. You're wearing 3D glasses. There's like shaking and smells and mist, and you can watch the fight on both sides of the screen. Like it traverses both sides. So like that's not even close to the kind of experience you have when you have a head-mounted display, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean that
And
sounds
it's pretty
weird.
good. It's
Like,
not bad.
so like there's two screens opposite each other, and then there's just this blank like open space.
Well, they incorporate like the tram into the experience. So like one of the animals like rips it and it falls off. Like obviously not you.
Well, that and like how far away are the screens from each other is like
If
is
you're
ghosting
sitting-
a problem?
No,
Like,
no. It's not like you're watching both sides. It's like the people on the left side of the tram can watch the left side. The people on the right can watch the right. If
Okay.
you can like look over. It's not
And
the
it's
same
seated
experience.
that way.
It's like the idea is that your tram is driving and you went through Skull Island and then you can see what's going on both sides. And but like King Kong will jump on the tram and like it shakes and then he's on the other side. Like it's not like I said, it's like proto VR. It's not a bad experience. It's just I don't think it's the best looking 3D I've ever seen. Like the projecting isn't the best. Like it's
2009, that was the thing of its time.
Yeah, oh, definitely,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
At the time, it was groundbreaking. It's still like it still is pretty cool because you're on the studio tour instead of just like a quick like 5 minute short or whatever you want, whatever it is. Like, better than like the Mummy experience that they have on there. That's horrible. I think they got rid of that. I've done the studio tour 3 times recently, and it hasn't been in there. But they take different routes. Like I didn't know if you know this. Like on Universal Studio Tour, like it's not always the same experience. Like, obviously, you have a different tour guide, but they go different ways sometimes. Like probably if someone's shooting on the back lot or whatnot. But I've gone sometimes and like they've totally skipped the part where you drive through the lake, etc. Let's move on. Warner Brothers still. Christopher Nolan's next project is coming July 21st, 2017.
Okay.
It's opening against Pitch Perfect 3, so he's going to lose.
Well, we don't know what it is yet. I mean,
It doesn't matter what it is. It's going to lose Pitch Perfect.
This is dated for the summer, right?
Yeah, July 21st.
And what other franchises is it going up against?
Pitch Perfect. And also a Blue Sky production that hasn't been announced yet.
Okay, but like
Probably
within-
Peanuts 2.
What comes out a week before it?
I don't know. I don't have the calendar in front of me. I wrote down
Like-
the date and I wrote down the relevant
Yeah, I
information.
think I saw on the report that it was close to Pacific Rim 2, and it was close to a few other things. I mean,
It's probably going to be something big.
yeah, Nolan's a pretty big name. I mean, who knows? Like this, as far as like franchises, I don't know. Like this could be, if this does well compared to a lot of other stuff out there, then that could be a big sign of more original
I hope
big
it's an
budget stuff
original.
being done. I mean, I don't know what it is actually.
And
I
no
hope
one
it's not a
knows.
DC thing, but
I'm 90% sure it's not DC.
yeah, I mean,
There's-
it's still crazy that this is news though. Like first that he just finished a draft, and now that we have a release date. I mean, well, the fact that we have a release date that makes
good
it pretty
sign.
clear that it's going to be something big budget, and because it's Nolan, you can assume that it's something. Either it might be an original property of his,
Well,
or it
it's
could be an
Warner's.
adaptation of some work that wouldn't get much heft unless someone big signed on like him.
Well, what I think is interesting is the fact that it's Warner's. Like, it's not Paramount like Interstellar was. So
Yeah.
maybe he didn't have as good of a relation there, or he just wanted to go back to the studio that he's comfortable with. Who knows?
No, Paramount was Interstellar was also, it was Paramount and it was Warner Brothers. So I
And
mean,
I think it was like someone else too. But it was like Paramount got the first, whatever you want to call it. Like, it was there, and they like not published. I think they distributed it. And I think
They
Warner's
mainly-
kind of co-financed.
Paramount was mainly handling like they had everything in the States. I think that as far as international distribution, Warner Brothers had a bit more of a part in that.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a co-production, and maybe I don't know. The fact that this is like all Warner Brothers makes me wonder if it is an original property, if they're willing to take that big of a risk. Because for something like Interstellar, for something that original, it makes sense that you
Yeah.
divide the money between two studios.
I mean,
so
it's not going to happen, but I would love like a sequel to The Prestige.
why?
Just
Why do you need
because I don't need one. I love that movie.
I haven't seen that in forever.
It's so good. Like,
And it has one of the best twist endings though of all
Yeah.
time, as far as
like
I'm
that.
concerned.
The best part about that movie is that same summer, The Illusionist also opened, and it's like the two signs of how good a magic movie can be. It's like really dark and deep and interesting and pretty lame. Like, all I remember about that movie is Paul Giamatti like going, "I'm gonna catch you, Edward Norton."
I enjoyed The Illusionist, but The Prestige definitely has made a much bigger impression on me in the long run.
Yeah. Other directors with things that were announced this week. McG has a new movie coming. It's called The Babysitter, which is a script that was on the blacklist. I know very little about it. Also Warner's property. It's going to be a New Line. So I guess good for him.
I know you've been just kind of saying like, who cares about McG? Like
I don't.
I like McG, honestly. Like I think he's
You like Charlie's Angels Full Throttle?
I like Charlie's Angels more than Full Throttle, but I fairly enjoyed
What
the
about
second
Terminator
one.
Salvation? And
You know what? Terminator Salvation, like we talked about this on the review, but I think that Terminator Salvation has a lot of story issues, but the action sequences in that movie are
right. We
insanely
definitely
good.
did
Like,
talk. Yeah, it was
I mean,
some good
and
action.
yeah, I think he has a lot of potential, but he's been going away from big budget stuff. I think what last things he did were This Is War and what was that Luc Besson production that with Kevin Costner that he did that I didn't even know he directed till I
3
saw
Days
the
to Kill.
yeah, and I had no idea he made that till I saw the credits for that movie. But I mean, that was, yeah, I mean, as forgettable as that movie was, I had fun watching it at the time. I mean, I do think he's a good director. He just has a really laughable name, which
Yeah.
obviously that's why there's a backlash. But I'm rooting for the guy. I think he can make a damn good movie if he tries his hardest, and hopefully he gets what he deserves.
Well, I mean, it is a blacklist script, so that's already hype going into it. Because anytime one of those gets produced, it's usually a good sign. So we'll see. Like, I don't hate him or anything. It's just I'm part of the problem. I give him the bad rep, and like you said, it's because of his name.
You
part.
can't help but look at that name and just, I mean, even
You're like, what
in
the fuck's your problem? Your name is McG?
I mean,
like,
that
it
sounds
sounds like
like-
McLovin's backup name in case his ID didn't come out the right way. Other directors moving things this week. Edgar Wright's movie Baby Riders got a star, and his name is Jamie Foxx.
Is he starring in it or is he playing the villain?
I don't know. I don't know nothing about the script. I don't want to know.
No, because as far as I know, it's Ansel Elgort.
Oh, the guy from
Yeah, the guy from
Yeah.
Fault in the Stars. That's the
still have
main
to see.
star.
So I have to see that. I'm very excited.
You'll enjoy it.
I'm sure I will. I'm not sure I'm ready for the tearjerker.
Oh, come on, you can do it.
I'll try.
Bruh, no, I know you're ready for it. I know that you're a whore for that kind of stuff. Don't try to make
No,
yourself
no,
seem
no.
so
I'm not. I'm not
insensitive.
into melodrama. I'm not into that kind of stuff. I like rom-coms. Like I like the laughing, the funny. Like obviously, there's a part
Which
in the
is
rom-com.
melodrama. Come on.
No, no, no. It's a romantic
Yes.
comedy. Like it is no tension at all until the part where they break up and then get back together. But that
Uh-huh.
you know it's not going to last forever because
Which
they
is
always get back together.
melodramatic. Come on, you know that. I mean,
No, melodrama is like it's like Douglas Sirk shit, where the whole time you're going, "Oh my god, just kiss him" or something.
I don't mind
Like
melodrama
Lifetime
that
movies.
much. I mean, when it feels cheap and like is like, I think melodrama by design, like it obviously seems manipulated, but like
Well,
there's
that's what melodrama is. It's like
but
manipulated drama.
yeah, but I mean when something like Lifetime where it's specifically adhering to a specific formula, like that's where I have a problem with it. Like, but it can feel organic. Like it can be melodramatic and something can be like built up to a point where okay, there's no way it could be that extreme in real life unless by happenstance. But I mean melodrama can work. I feel, but
Every genre can work.
yeah. Anyway, moving on.
One last director of note, Doug Liman. He's working with Tom Cruise again, even though they have a film in post that's coming out next year, or actually 2017, called Mena. I don't know. Know nothing about that. That was I believe that's a film that no, you heard about the pilot that I think died earlier this week.
No,
No.
no, I haven't
That
heard
was
this actually.
that was another Tom Cruise production. Then rest in peace, whoever you were.
I was on sec.
I believe so. Yeah, could have been a stuntman. I'm not sure. But yeah, they have a movie coming out in 2 years called Mena, and they just signed the contract to make something called Luna Park, which I believe is about the moon. I think it's like living there. I don't know, but so yeah, they're working together twice more, which I
That's
guess is
good.
exciting. They're good. They're a good
No, I
combo.
mean,
So
I think for Doug Liman, that's great that he's not getting himself locked into franchises, especially in this day and age. And I mean, because Tom Cruise is involved, I can assume that there will be a budget, like a fairly large budget in there. But I think it's great that Doug Liman is just getting work more easily because you look at most of his movies and working with him is, as far as I know, what I've heard, it's pretty difficult. Like, even on The Bourne Identity, Frank Marshall had to take over and clean up that film for him.
Huh.
Like, that's part of why he didn't come back for The Bourne Supremacy. I mean, yeah, Doug Liman, not an easy guy to work with, as far as I know, so it's good that he can get along with someone like Tom Cruise and work well with him.
yeah, I mean,
I don't know what the full history is there, but, I mean... I was in a different class than you because I was at a different school than you at this time. But actually, this was brought up in one of my film history classes. Like, I don't know if my film professor said Doug Liman. He had dyslexia is the word that comes to my mind, even though I know that's not what it is.
hmm
But I just know that basically the stories that I've heard is that he's a bit eccentric and can be very difficult to work with. And that was part of a lecture that I had on Bourne Identity in my film history class for action movies. And yeah, this was at OCC, by the way. But yeah, so I mean, just knowing, it's vaguely in my mind right now, but knowing that history, it's good that that sounds like a good partnership right there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
not every movie in his filmography is that great. I mean, obviously you got Swingers and Go and The Bourne Identity, but then you have Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Jumper.
I like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, actually. A lot of people do.
I don't dislike it. It's just
Jumper also has its audience, and I haven't seen it yet.
I don't know
Yeah,
that movie. Put it this way,
I
that was
remember
like
Fair Game was that was one of the only reason I remember that is because I threaded a 35mm print of that movie.
put it this way for
But-
Jumper. Okay, that was based on like a series of young adult fiction, and they only made the first one. And that doesn't happen often. Like, we're looking at you, Golden Compass. It's not something that's commonplace. For a studio to go, abandon hope. Okay, the Jedis can't save this one. But I did. I was like 14 or whatever when I saw Jumper.
yeah,
I thought it was okay. I mean, it's an interesting concept. Just
yeah.
I mean, if you can
Yeah, I mean,
manage Hayden Christensen's
I know quite a few
performance,
people that really like that
then
movie, so
then
I'm
you'll like
gonna
it
have to
because
give it a shot at some point. But
Jamie Bell is good in that movie, like he is in most of his films. So there's some good stuff in it.
You know,
and,
I
but
defend
you've seen the
episode
movie
3
before.
to
It's
this day.
young kid that gets access to some kind of power and then to learning about controlling it, and then he has to jump into a battle way bigger than he's ready for.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Doug Lyman is a talented guy. Like, I'm sure, at the very least, if I have problems with that film when I see it, I'm sure there's going to be some fun sequences in there. And yeah, you know, it's great to hear that he's getting more work.
Yeah. I mean, Edge of Tomorrow was so good, or Live, Die, Repeat. Why the fuck did
It's
they
Edge of
change the name?
Tomorrow.
Of course it's
Or,
Edge of Tomorrow.
well, that's the official one. I mean, All
Yeah.
You Need Is Kill.
But that's a better title.
It's a better title. I don't know if it's reflective of what the movie is. Like,
It is.
You know,
like
I mean,
like if you want to get out of your time loop, all you need is kill.
I don't know. I,
I still
mean,
want to read that novella.
I like
wanna
that
read
title
it.
better. Yeah, but it's a tough movie to title, though. I'll
Yeah.
give him that.
Live, Die, Repeat works. That is a really good title. But it's stupid. I think it's stupid because
it's
the
hard to
periods.
advertise that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was the tagline, not the title.
Well,
but-
they like during the digital release and DVD, they changed the title. Like, if you find a Blu-ray of it, Live, Die, Repeat is in big letters, and then real low below that, it's like a slug line that says "The Edge of Tomorrow."
You know, it honestly kind of doesn't matter because the title doesn't even come up during the movie. Like, it is one of those movies where the title doesn't come up till the end credits at some point. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't care anymore. It's a fun movie, but I mean, it's just whatever.
Okay, so we're off of directors. Talk about some actors. Olivia Cook, Cancer Girl from Me Earl and the Dying Girl.
Mm-hmm.
She's playing Artemis in Ready Player One, which I'm
I
really
know
excited
you're happy about that. Yeah.
Really good casting. Like
No,
I had
she's really talented. Yeah.
well, not even that. I just had to look at a picture of her again. I was like, I can totally see this. Like, that's just really good casting. I didn't know she was on. What TV show? I looked it up. I'm blanking on it right now. She's on something. What is it? Which I might have to look into. Is that? I'm gonna find it. I'm like,
I'm looking it up right now.
Or it's like something that people talk about. Well, first off, she was in Ouija. I'm not sure I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah, I'm not interested either.
She's on Bates Motel. There you go. So
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I've
that's
heard
right.
good things about that, and it's still on TV. So
Oh, she was also in The Signal.
I haven't seen that.
It was fun. Yeah, keep going. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I might have to look into Bates Motel, watch like the pilot or something. Just
I heard it's really good.
I can't buy the concept of a prequel to a
To a
movie
Hitchcock
series.
film, yeah.
Well, not even just that, but to a movie series that started with a Hitchcock film, which is an adaptation of a bestseller that was influenced by true life events. It's
no,
too much.
I'm there with you. I mean, like, I hate to, draw this card, but like Psycho, like that is that's a film that made an impression on me when I first saw it. Like, I was really young, so that's almost like that's one of those things where I'm kind of on board with, like, you do not touch that. Like, I didn't even discover that they had already made sequels to Psycho till like way later down the
I
line.
think the
but
first sequel came out like 3
In the
years after
80s.
the first movie. Yeah.
No, it was in the 80s. It was like 20 years later. Like, I watched
it?
all of them. Yeah, no, I
know
I
it-
saw all of them, like, at one point, just in a fit. Like, this is back when like Netflix Instant was becoming a thing, and I saw that it was on there, and I watched all of them just right away. Yeah, no, I was in bed rest because I had pneumonia for a while, so I did that for a while.
Well,
when,
I know Anthony Perkins died in the 80s.
No, he was in all of them though. Like, there were, even the fourth one, it was a made-for-TV movie, but he was in it.
Weird.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
no, he's
no,
in-
he died in the early 90s.
Yeah, he's in every Psycho sequel. I mean, and, they're not that bad. It's just they're kind of generic, 80s slasher films, and they're fun to watch in that way, but
The genre that created the
it's
slasher film also
yeah, but
ruined
it's
it.
just not the Hitchcock film. That's
Well, obviously,
that's
yeah.
all I have to say.
Did
Yeah,
you
I mean,
see Hitchcock with Anthony Hopkins? No, it wasn't Hopkins.
Yeah,
That was
no, the one that was focused on the making of Psycho.
No, yeah, that was him. Yeah,
that was
like,
Anthony Hopkins. Yeah, that was.
I thought it was okay.
entertaining.
Yeah, I thought the stuff with his wife was really cool.
Yeah, no,
Like, who knows if the Helen Mirren stuff, like, if that was true, but I thought it brought a lot to the
I'm
movie.
pretty sure it
It looked
there's
like it
no doubt
was.
that it was. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, it was by far the most interesting stuff in the movie. The affair seemed kind of,
really shitty.
here comes that word again, melodramatic and tacked on. But I don't know, who knows how to analyze these things. I wouldn't really call it a biopic. Just kind of it's mainly just about that production, and it's an interesting look into it, especially in. I mean, this is one thing that I know is true. There was something that I loved in it, which was him and Bernard Herrmann fighting over just that cue that took place in the shower scene. And Hitchcock, he originally wanted it not to not be in the movie.
I liked how, like, the censors were telling him, like, oh, there's violence and nudity, and then they're like, there's nothing. You don't even see the knife going. And it's like the same argument from Scarface. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, because I mean, that shower scene in Scarface is the same scene. It's just way more violent.
Yeah, no, you just see kind of blood splatter a little bit in there. Like it's. Yeah, I don't know about you, but like, yeah, both those scenes fucked me up a lot when I was younger.
It's one of those things where it's like the less you see, the more it affects you.
Mm-hmm.
That's true for anything. Like,
absolutely.
If you hear someone behind you but you don't know what they're doing, like, that's scary. But if you see someone doing something real creepy, like, I don't know, use your imagination, it usually doesn't have nearly the same kind of effect. That's why ghost stories as a kid, like, they were so strong. Whereas if you could watch a movie, like, oh, maybe it gets you with the jump scare, but you're not going to be reeling for a couple of days. Talking about reeling, Jeepers Creepers 3. Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get those peepers? It's coming.
Okay.
American Zoetrope still producing it.
Wasn't that on like already a straight to DVD release, or
no? I mean, there's only been two. Yeah, there's the first one with Justin Long. And I don't know who was in the second one. I don't think I saw the. I believe the second one was the one with the school.
I didn't see
the high
either
school
of them.
students.
I just remember seeing TV spots for them.
I know you like horror mythology. It has a really good one. It kind of feels like something that's taken out of a Supernatural episode of the X-Files, but really interesting. I'll sell you on it real quick. There's this thing, the Jeepers Creepers dude. I don't remember what his actual name is.
Don't tell me what it is. But...
Yeah, but here's the concept. It's some kind of creature, and I believe every 27 years he goes on harvest and has to, like, collect things to survive, and then he goes back in hibernation, and then every 27 years. So it's about his hunt.
You know what? I'll take your word for it, and I'll put it on a list for my Halloween.
I'd watch
thing.
it.
I'll try to build one up since you've already got one going.
I mean,
yeah. To me, it's just it seemed like it's because I know people have seen it, and it seemed like it's just one of those things that people are nostalgic over because of the time that it came out.
It's a good concept. The first one has some good talent behind it. So.
Yeah, I'm willing to check it out. Absolutely.
I'll rewatch it one of these days, just because I really like Justin Long. So,
how old were you when you first saw it?
I guess around 10.
Yeah. See, that might be a big factor in there. Cause,
I'm not a big fan of it or anything, but like I said, I think it has really good mythology. Like, it definitely does. Like, it's a good concept.
I mean, it was big enough for it to warrant a sequel, and people liked it
one.
at that point. So yeah, I'm willing to check it out for sure.
Cool. Other sequel news: Trainspotting. That might get one, which I don't have a problem with, to be honest.
It's not a might. It's that I guess it's now officially happening. They've been talking about it for years.
Well, I mean, Trainspotting is a novel. Who's it? Welsh? I can't remember. Rachel Welsh. I don't know her first name. I can't remember. And so it already had a cult following before the first movie was made, and I'm guessing this is going to be something like, kind of like Fight Club 2, even though that's a comic book, where it's just directly to another medium. But who knows? Like Danny Boyle, it seems like he's the one that's doing it, so that's a good sign. And I don't know how they're going to get all the cast back, like Johnny Lee Miller, because he's kind of busy.
I guess.
Really?
As far as I know, yeah. I mean, because they've been talking about this for years.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it
Danny
seems
Boyle,
like he's pretty busy with Elementary, and then you got
Danny Boyle straight up come out and said that he's doing this like next. So, I don't know who knows who they're bringing back, or if they. I'm pretty sure they have a script already set, but
Could just wing it.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, I'm not complaining, but I personally just don't need a train spotting, especially just I like leaving it. I like closure. I like, especially in the case of a movie like Train Spotting, I like seeing that ending, and like when I'm done watching that movie, it just leaves me in a place where I'm still thinking about everything I saw and what that'll mean for what's to come.
That toilet scene.
Okay,
So
yeah,
good.
no, absolutely disgusting. But
I love that scene. So good.
I mean, yeah, but you know what I mean, right? Like Train Spotting, that's a movie that just leaves you in a place where you're going to be thinking about it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily need to know where Anne McGregor ends up after that. In fact, I kind of don't want to know. I'd rather just have the ending haunt me. But so I'm worried that might take that away from it. But
I mean,
in the
worse things
same
can
way,
happen.
I could say the same thing about something like Before Sunrise or hell, especially Before Sunset. Like, I would have loved it if that ending just remained vague. But of course, Before Midnight had to come along, and that was a great movie too. So I'm hoping for the best here.
Worse things can happen. Okay, Ronda Rousey is starring in a reimagining of Roadhouse. That's a movie that doesn't need a remake.
No, but if you were gonna have anyone do it, come on.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Come on, Ronda Rousey being the crap out of dudes. Come on, that's the way to do it.
She already kind of did that. That's the premise for whatchamacallit, Expendables 3. When they grab her, she's the bouncer in a nightclub.
I have not seen Expendables 3.
It's not worth your time. The best
Yeah,
part of the movie is
I'm-
Antonio Banderas.
Yeah, I have no real interest. I mean, I don't like that franchise at all.
I like the first one.
They bored the crap out of
Oh,
me.
yeah,
I don't know, me personally. Like,
Anytime they have dialogue in the movie, it's really bad, and all
it's
three of them.
basically it was built up as a major team up, but all it was just Sly and Jason Statham just hanging around till
And
everybody
Jet
got
Li.
together in the end. Jet Li just came in for a couple minutes, complained that he was short. Jason Statham complains about his girlfriend. I mean, that's it.
I mean, if
dude.
you don't like
It
that, you
really-
won't like the second one then, because
I did see the second one. I liked it even less.
Yeah, they throw everyone
The
from the
second
first
one was
movie
the
out of
one-
the movie. They're like,
Yeah,
oh,
the second
you're on the poster still, but you don't get any lines.
The second one was basically the one where I just said, you know what, I'm fine. I don't need to see 3. It's not for me at this point. Like,
I thought the worst part.
which I mean, it should be. I mean, I grew up with Arnold. I grew up with Rambo. I saw Kiss of the Dragon, I guess, when I was younger. So that may not mean that I grew up with Jet Li, but that's a thing. So I mean, I was bummed that it didn't play to me because that was something I really wanted to love.
The worst part about the Expendables 2 was the Chuck Norris part where he does his own version of a Chuck Norris joke.
Yeah.
Like, they were reaching so hard there. Like,
I don't know. It's
don't pander to the audience, get laughs.
It's just
Come on.
way too self-referential for me. I guess.
See,
in a way where
I like self-referentiality. I like meta movies, but the Expendable series, it doesn't do it well, and it seems like a cash grab.
I think that's the thing is I like self-referential humor, but the key word there is humor.
Yeah, it's a
You
pretty
have to be
serious
funny.
series. Well, Jason Statham's pretty
yeah.
funny, but pretty
No,
serious
absolutely.
series.
Yeah, I mean it's not funny at all. Like, I mean, and that's the problem. It's like, yeah, if they hammed it way more up, if they made it more like those 80s classics that we all like, then
It's hard to recapture the spirit of the 80s.
yeah, but I mean, you
Reagan
gotta at least have fun with it. Which, I can't say that they aren't, but I don't know. It just didn't click with me.
Not gonna put I'm not a fan. I'm saying.
Yeah, well.
Something else I'm not necessarily a fan of, but am interested in what's going to happen. Cabin Fever is getting a remake. It's coming next year sometime. I'm guessing around September, October. It's being released by IFC Midnight. That could be good. Have you seen the first movie?
I have. I really like the first movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
it has a really good concept and something that could be done a lot better with a good budget.
It's also really, God, it's really soon for a remake, isn't it?
No, that movie can't think about how long ago that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that was maybe 10 years ago. Yeah.
No. I think
a little more than that, but
I think it was like 2001.
Good God, maybe I'm just getting old.
I think it's
then.
closer to 15. So
I mean, yeah, it's just
just think about the cat that what's his name from Boy Meets Girls in that movie.
I don't know his name, but I know who you're talking about, but I don't know his name. But
It came out '02.
you know, I honestly just
I was thinking of Ryder
I
Strong, by the way.
I as far as a remake, you know, it's nice that it's IFC. Actually, that shows that there will be an independent spirit there. But
Well, sorta. I mean, IFC sold out a while ago. That's why they have commercials.
well, yeah, but I mean, you know, it's not like a major studio or anything. But
Well, I mean, the first one was Lionsgate, so
I
yeah,
just
it would have been a better if they just stayed Lionsgate.
yeah, well, I mean, I just hope that it's not like it doesn't go the route of the Evil Dead remake.
I don't
'Cause, I
think
mean,
so.
You know, I mean, here's the thing. It's like I don't know how you feel about it. I know a lot of people love that remake. I thought it was stupid.
No,
and
yeah,
I
we've
couldn't
talked
get
about this
into it
before.
at all. Yeah,
It was like three
I mean,
episodes back.
yeah. Just I hope it, that's the thing is like you know Cabin Fever. That's a fun movie, but it's also really funny. I mean, remaking it just seems kind of weird because how do you recapture that or try to bring something new to that
I don't know.
without it feeling like a cynical cash grab?
They could
Like,
be make it more Cabin the Onesie. Just
I mean,
go the opposite direction. Don't make it as serious. Like even make it more funny. I don't know. I'm
or I don't know, just do a remake that's or reboot. You know, do something different.
like
who knows?
I think we've also talked about this before. I really like. I mean, it's not nearly the same. It doesn't hold a candle to the original, but I rather like the Zack Snyder Dawn of the Dead movie. And so,
Oh, yeah, I love that movie.
like, they didn't make it better. They didn't make it worse. They just remade it. You know, it's like still in the mall. You still got a random group of people. They still want to. They have their plan to escape. It still has this underlying like theme about how everyone is obsessed with what you call it, buying things and
Yeah, the consumerist
consumer culture
message there.
and like
But
even if
it's
you're
still-
dead, you're still going to go to the mall. So
But it still is a completely different movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it doesn't
very
really,
different, no.
It doesn't nail the social
No.
commentary element the same way.
well, you
A
don't
big
have those
part of that
cool
because-
shots with like cool wide open
Yeah.
shots with zombies walking through a mall and stuff. So
Well, I mean, a big part of that is also, you know, it's fast zombies, not the
Yeah.
slow ones. The slow zombies, those work for social commentary. Fast zombies work for
Well,
a story that's
that-
about survival, and that's what that was
let's
to
not
me. And
forget
also,
about Zombie Baby. So that
that was cool.
no,
You know, if I saw that movie for the first time now, I would probably think differently about it.
that baby
but
looks so dated.
you know, when I saw Dawn of the Dead for the first time, like that movie scared the shit out of me.
The remake?
The remake. That was the
Really?
first one I
No.
saw. Yeah, I saw that in theaters.
I think. Well,
Like that was one of those movies I snuck into, and yeah, it did get to me, and I thought it was really fucking intense.
I
mean,
remember
it's,
getting like pretty
it's a
scared during
completely
the,
different movie.
Yeah, pretty scared during the first Resident Evil movie. I remember I was so scared I had to cover like it was that scene with the dogs. I had to cover my ears to avoid the
Oh,
jump
man.
scares. Being
I
young
mean,
is
yeah,
fun.
but you know, Dawn of the Dead though, that's an example of a remake that is completely different. It
But
has
in
the
a good
mall.
way.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same characters at all. You know, it's just the concept of okay, you hide in a mall during the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
The zombies are different. You know, these survivors, like you know, they have more weapons. You know, there's a lot of differences that are peppered in there, and just enough similarities to call it a remake. But that's exactly what a good remake is to me: is when you bring something new to the table. Cabin Fever. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying I can't possibly imagine what it's going to be.
Who knows? We'll find out.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't anticipate watching it, but you never know. Like, it can be good. I'm sure no one thought that Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead would have been good, especially because he
No,
had
I mean-
nothing to his name at the time. So
Yeah, that's the exception. You know, like there's very few of those that we do get that end up being good.
So I got my fingers crossed. I hope. Who knows?
We shall see.
Moving to some TV news. Your wish has been granted. I guess mine in a lesser extent. AMC has ordered Preacher to a series, and it premieres in May.
Your wish to a lesser extent.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still not sure where I stand on the Seth Rogen, Evan Greenberg adaptation because I don't see. I mean, I think they have the humor chops to make it work because it is a very funny series. I'm, you know, we've talked. You know, I went to Comic-Con today. Whatever. I've read the series. I own it. I've read it like 2 times. I don't know if they can do the religious stuff, which is more of what it is. Like Preacher, very much so is dogma. Like it has, not from a story standpoint, but thematically speaking, the kind of humor it makes, the kind of references it does. Like, you know, there's, okay, one of the main characters is a vampire. Like, that's obviously different. But like even still, Preacher takes place in the Batman universe. You know, it is DC, and on AMC, I think there's gonna be a lot of stuff missing. And one of the main, like another main character, Arseface, you know, he's influenced. Like one of his idols is Kurt Cobain. I know for a fact because I saw some set photos and I read some things. That's eliminated. They're saying this contemporary, so I don't even know what's gonna happen. I I'm looking
Well,
forward to it. I hope the pilot's good. It just I don't know. I still don't know if they can do it the right way. I don't
you
know
know,
if it can work on basic cable.
I mean, that's the thing is that we are both coming at this from completely different angles because
Yeah.
you are familiar with the material. I'm just a fan of Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg.
Yeah, I'm a fan too,
I've,
but
I've pretty much been there for like almost everything. I mean, I still love the Green Hornet. I will passionately
well, we know how
defend
you
that
stand on
movie.
their comic book stuff then, so
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of their style and their comedy. So this is probably one like I'm not big on following TV shows, but this is one that already has my attention, and I'm probably gonna follow like at least for the first season, or I'm definitely gonna watch the pilot when it comes on.
I'm pretty sure the way they're gonna do it is kind of like The Walking Dead, where the first season's gonna be like 8 episodes, and that makes sense because they
And
could
if it
probably
picks up from there.
yeah. I'm pretty sure they could cover. I don't know how they're gonna do a lot of stuff because there's like one of the arcs is all flashbacks, so I'm pretty sure they're just gonna abandon that and incorporate it some other way, or maybe like they just throw flashbacks in certain episodes. Who knows? But I think they could cover like the first graphic novel in the first season. They could do it pretty well. Pretty contained story, and it would have the groundwork. And if that does well, then you can get into the weird shit. But there's stuff in it that I can't see working on basic cable. Like really, really controversial stuff. Like the premise is this supreme power escaping from prison in heaven and entering the body of a preacher
Yeah, I mean,
who
well,
literally obtains the power of the word of God.
but you know, the same thing could have been said for The Walking Dead
No.
5 years ago.
No,
But yeah, like when
The
that
Walking-
was
there's-
there was a lot of worry going into that.
There's
like,
look, okay, there's some graphic stuff on that show, but there's nothing controversial. There's like, oh
It was
wow,
controversial
there's a
at the
gay
time.
character. I still don't. Like,
no,
I didn't
no,
think
a
there's
show
anything
like
about
about
it.
zombies that was going to be graphic. Like, yeah, like at the time that was 2010. That was a big thing.
I don't know.
I mean,
I guess
we're
I missed that.
you know we're pushing the barriers more and more on TV as we go. So, you know, who knows what this is going? In fact, like even with something like Breaking Bad, where you know all they're doing is kind
that's
of
a fair example.
you know, I mean, yeah, they are sent like when you watch those like that show on Netflix or when it hits Blu-ray, like it's much more intense than it was when it originally aired. Like even when you're watching it as it aired, especially for Breaking Bad, like yeah, we talked about this last week. I
Yeah.
remember when they censored a bunch of crap. Like
Well, even
I still have digital downloads of shows like at that show as it was airing where they would censor a bunch of crap. I don't know if they've
I think there's a
they may have
difference
fixed it
between
since then, but we'll see.
there's
you
a
know?
difference between stuff that is taboo, like making and selling meth, and stuff that's graphic, like killing zombies and having people being eaten, and then making obscure, really deep, like pointing the finger and laughing jokes about Christianity. I don't know if a lot of people are going to be okay with that. I don't know if they're going to even be doing that on the show. Like, there's a
I
lot
think-
of like that. It like would imagine Dogma being shown on basic cable. Not like making a TV show, just being shown. Like imagine AMC went.
Believe it or not, that's how I first saw it.
No way. Was it like MTV?
Yeah, no, it was on Comedy Central actually.
Okay,
it
well,
was
it's-
heavily censored. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I
because
got
not
I
even
bought the
for
DVD and saw an even better movie.
Yeah, not
but-
even for the language. It's just you can't show certain things on TV like that. Like you're gonna piss off a lot of parents. Not even parents, just piss off a lot of people. Like people let you laugh at their like governor or their kid with Down syndrome, but if you like make fun of their god, they get really anal.
I don't know. You know, I mean, especially when it comes to religion, like that tends to. Like that will bring controversy nonetheless, but that is something that attracts viewers to at least see something.
that,
And really, it's only if it's controversial and it's like you know actually hurting somebody. Like if it's related to something that is like actively like you know is actually harmful in the time that it's made, then that's when it's a problem.
I don't think it's going to be a problem.
For the sake of entertainment, like it could be controversial, absolutely. But
I'm scared
if
what they have to
people
cut.
get into it, then that's gonna like absolutely. That's just gonna help motivate them to make more of it. I feel.
I have low expectations. Let's just put it that way.
I don't have expectations at all. I'm still intrigued and I'm hoping for the best.
Me too.
This definitely sounds like it could be different. I mean, they've already shot the pilot. They got a full season order, so that's nothing. That's hopefully a good sign for the show, as far as just quality.
Not necessarily sequel news, but kinda. Top of the Lake, which I've talked about on the show before, and also talked about with you in private. Big fan of the show. It's a whodunit. Season 2, they've already announced some casting. Nicole Kidman is joining the Kiwi show, so that's cool. Maybe she's gonna be like a new detective or whatnot. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting characters on that first season, so they go lots of different ways here. But the fact that they're getting someone of that caliber, I'm imagining Elizabeth Moss is still on the second season because it's all about her anyway. So them working together, that should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Looking forward to that.
As far as all I know is that it's just that latest trend of miniseries that are being expanded to an actual series.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Netflix is doing the same thing. They're producing an order of Black Mirror episodes.
Yeah, I saw that.
So, anything can happen. Speaking of Netflix, Jessica Jones, which is no longer called Marvel Presents AKA Jessica Jones. I think they dropped out the AKA. It's going live November 20th. That's the day to binge it. I'm looking forward to it. I like Kristen Ritter. So, yeah, I'm curious to see what she can do. I mean, it's not a superhero per se, but what she can do in the Marvel universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm way behind on all. I'm getting closer to watching Daredevil. Actually,
you're getting closer to watching it.
In that
I almost bought the director's cut today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was $5, and I looked at it and I went, I really want it as a Blu-ray instead.
Yeah, I have, believe it or not, I have the DVD, I have the Blu-ray, and I also have a digital download of it. Yeah,
there's something wrong with you.
No, well, it was the disc to digital thing, so I got it for $1. But yeah, I have that. I mean, it really is good, man. Like, it's a way better movie. But I am getting closer to the show. Like, it's become a priority in that, it's like, I don't know. That's just the way, like, it's one of those things in my mind where I feel like I'm just getting more and more interested in checking it out sooner and sooner.
Yeah. I mean,
like
they've already
coming closer on my radar.
They already announced Rosario Dawson. She plays character on Daredevil. They've announced that she's going to be in the Iron Fist show, or maybe it's Luke Cage. I think Luke Cage is Iron Fist. So that's the beginning of their crossing over that we know so far. I'm pretty sure at least one character is going to make an appearance in Jessica Jones from Daredevil. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Scott Glenn's character because it seems like he's the Nick Fury for their Defenders, because he's on one episode. In my opinion, it was the best episode of Daredevil. Because the old boy fight,
the pilot, right?
No, he's not on the pilot. Scott Glenn is on. I think it's like episode 5.
He's pretty early. I know that.
Yeah, it's like 5. It's like 5 or 6. Like the old boy episode, which I believe is the second one, that has the best cinematography and best fighting. But the Scott Glenn one is fucking awesome. And there's like a after credit sequence basically that happens. So I'm pretty sure he's gonna be in Jessica Jones, and he's gonna be the one that brings them together. I don't know. It's just my guess. I don't read Marvel, but it's my guess. One last TV thing, kind of interesting. You did mention Comedy Central earlier. I believe it already is out there. They made or making original programming for Snapchat. So I think
Go on.
That's all I know. I think it's really interesting. Comedy Central is one of the Snapchat partners. They added this feature about 5 months ago or so. Like, you can see news updates. Like, I think CNN, Comedy Central, Engadget. I don't know.
While using Snapchat?
Yeah, while using Snapchat. Like, there's a different... It's called Discover. And you can go up in there and watch stuff. And it would, it'd be like 20 seconds of Key and Peele, or like a joke from South Park, or whatever. And now, I guess, his original program. And I think I might have told you about this before. It might have been on like our first episode of Two Cents, where I saw a ad for Ouija on Snapchat, and I thought it was awesome. Like it really, like it was like 10 seconds. It was very very short, and it was just enough where I was like, huh, that actually, that looks intriguing. Like what is this? But I think it was the way that I saw it, and so. You can make original content for something that you're holding in your hand that has a different impact, and so like in terms of comedy, like you don't need a 30-minute show or 24 for that matter. If you got like a 1-minute quick bit and you have the same characters and you do like 20 of them, like one every couple of days, who knows? That's kind of like how Vine works. So
especially for something as big as Snapchat, which people use every day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Facebook thing. It's not Facebook big, but
I mean, it's pretty big that Facebook made their own version of it, so which failed like real bad. What was it called? The Facebook name wasn't even attached to it. It was like I can't remember. Like they cut their losses and they added direct messaging to Instagram,
honestly,
which also doesn't work.
I didn't even hear about it. So
that's
how big that was.
It was something small. It was like real small. One last thing about TV, and then we're going to talk about some tech stuff. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, my favorite actress. Well, not really, but yeah. She's starring in a sci-fi drama for CBS. It's called Brain Dead.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it.
I saw this headline. Yeah. I immediately thought of Peter Jackson's Dead Alive.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I
read the synopsis.
I guess it's not that.
No, yeah, it's not that. I read the synopsis, and I didn't. I still it blanked out on me. I'm just excited that she's getting something huge like this because it could push her career forward because she's not in enough stuff, and everything I've seen her in is great. And I haven't seen Alex of Venice or Faults, but these are two things that happened recently. It came out recently, and she got really good reviews for both. So it's finally time. And we've talked about Sky High before. How do you see someone young with that kind of talent and not put her in something like obviously she's in that and she's in like Scott Pilgrim, but and like Death Proof, I guess.
I would say she's pretty big. I mean, like big enough that even one of my best friends has a huge screen crush on her. In fact, so much so that I think he would put her at number one if he had to come up with that list. I mean,
has he seen Smash?
She's been in I think he knows about it. Yeah, like not as movie illiterate as you and me, but she's been in a lot of stuff. Enough so that people know her pretty well. I mean, she's pretty well respected in Hollywood. She just hasn't
she hasn't had that big crossover success yet.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been if The Thing was a lot bigger, that could have been that.
Or Final Destination 3.
Even what?
Final Destination 3. She was the star of that.
And that was one of the first things that I saw her in.
Yeah. She was in that Black Christmas remake.
She's
man,
also John McClane's daughter.
Yeah, she's John McClane's daughter. Wow.
Yeah. And hey, that's a good thing. I love that.
Don't forget how horrible she was.
Die Hard 4. I like Die Hard 4.
Don't forget how horrible she was in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
I haven't seen it.
That's her worst role. Yeah. It's really bad.
I'm looking at her IMDb right now. I didn't even know she was in it.
Oh, yeah, she was the older sister in Spectacular Now.
Yeah, no, a bit of a James Ponsoldt reunion there. I mean, yeah,
I know she's going to be in that Valencia movie by Dan Trachtenberg. The guy who directed the Portal No Escape, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was also on the Totally Rad show.
Yeah. It's a Bad Robot production, so that's pretty big. Hopefully that in addition to the CBS show, it gets her, the big roles because like we've been saying, it's not like she's unknown. It's just she's not. The public doesn't maybe knows what she looks like.
They recognize her.
Yeah, but not by name.
She's that face that they know, and they know that they like her, but they don't know her by name now. She's not huge at all.
So yeah, I hope the CBS show can help do that for her because it did for Johnny Lee Miller. I mean, I already mentioned this earlier, but he's on the Elementary show, which is pretty good. I've seen like 2 or 3 episodes. And before that, no one knew who he was. Not really. Especially not his name. It was like, wasn't that the guy from Hackers that used to be married to Angelina Jolie? And now it's like, oh, that's Sherlock Holmes, for Americans anyway.
Well, a show that's described as the Strain and West Wing combined, like, that's a good pitch, so I mean, that could be big. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Although I mean, still, when I see Brain Dead, I still think of Dead Alive.
Which I
you
still
know?
haven't seen. And that might be one of my first movies I watched in October.
Oh man, it's crazy. It's so much fun.
You know I like over the top gore, so got my fingers crossed.
So good. Like, yeah, give it a shot for sure.
So some tech stuff now. Still movies, but yeah. IMAX, you mentioned this before the show. I wrote it down because I almost forgot. Are they making their own content? Is that the rumor?
Well, I guess when they say that, is that supposed to be in the fictional realm?
I don't know. Yeah, they've done their documentary stuff, like the Deep
I know.
Space
I mean,
and Underwater with James Cameron, and
like they've worked with Warner Brothers, and for specific documentaries. I know that, and I guess I don't know with James Cameron. I don't know if they just loan out the cameras or what it is with that, but. Yeah, I mean this is a major thing for IMAX.
yeah. I mean the second
if they're going to be making their own movies,
the second half of that headline was that they're going to be, showing more TV shows on their big screens, which they obviously did for Game of Thrones not too long ago. I think they showed it was 3 episodes, 3 gigantic episodes with lots of CG.
Yeah, it was like a couple big ones to segue into the next season.
Yeah, and I know it performed really well. Like lots of tickets were sold.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
I mean, even though I don't like it, it's obviously this. Walking Dead is something I could see on IMAX just because.
I don't know. I mean, even when it came to Game of Thrones, that is a show with a massive scale in a big world, but I just don't feel it's presented in a way that demands the IMAX treatment.
I know you don't watch the show. I do know.
No, I do. I'm just way behind.
Okay, yeah.
Game of Thrones.
One of the episodes that was included on that IMAX experience was so you've seen The Wall, right, in the North?
I've seen the first 3 seasons. I'm behind on a season.
Okay, so you know when they oh no, you're not there yet.
No.
It's not ruining anything. Someone tries to breach the wall, and there's just a fight that lasts a whole episode. So that's I think the siege at Blackgate. Or Blackwater, I mean, which I think it was episode 9 of season 3 or season 2. That was also another one that was included. So it was the ones that have a huge budget and a lot of characters with expansive stuff that looks good on a big screen anyway. So yeah,
for certain episodes,
they only did the certain episodes. They wasn't just that's fucking walk through the kingdom and take the King's Road to King's Landing and talk, and Littlefinger's gonna be fucking watching someone fuck someone in his whorehouse, and it wasn't that, as far as I know.
Hey, well, they could be doing that. I mean, if they put 50 Shades of Grey in IMAX, that could be the next step.
Maybe. I mean, yeah. I imagine just gets to the point where it's on Sunday they clear out the movies from IMAX and it's just HBO's programming.
Oh, just wait. We're going to have IMAX porno theaters before you know it.
I highly doubt we're going to go
They're
back
bringing them back.
To the porno theater. I mean, that would be awesome. 4K 3D porn. That would be, how would that not make money?
No, it'll be 8K, man. That's what IMAX needs. 8K,
well, I mean,
not 4K.
That's the thing about porn. If you can follow it through its history, whenever there's new technology, if porn picks it, it wins. Period. Porn picked Blu-ray. Before that, it picked DVD. Before that, VHS. Whatever they do, they have that install base. People buy their things that it helps push that fight. That they already shoot in 4K. They're probably gearing up for 8.
I know there's nothing else to say on the matter other than you're right.
I know there's 3D porn. I know there's VR porn. So.
Oh, there is. Yeah, I know. I heard it was even not that great from some people that have tried it.
I heard VR porn is that great though.
Okay.
That's what I've heard.
I have different sentiments on just porn in general. I'm one of those people that just doesn't need it.
It's okay. I'm just saying they do push the issue.
But hey, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
More tech stuff. This is kind of big, and this goes for everyone out there, even though it's late in the show. If you hear this, do it now. Disney Movies Anywhere, which is Disney's version of Ultraviolet. Anytime you buy one of their movies, you can use the code and get the digital copy. It now is able to be linked with Amazon Video and your Xbox account. It already works with iTunes, Vudu, and Google. If you merge right now, even if you already have an account merged, you get a free copy of Monsters Inc., which I thought was bullshit, because I tried doing it before. Last time they had something like this was for The Incredibles, and I couldn't even do it. Sure enough, I did it. It took, like, no time at all, and now I have a digital copy of Monsters Inc. on my Amazon, Google, and YouTube accounts.
I mean, that's
pretty nice.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, what I'm really waiting for is for, the whole Ultraviolet thing. The Amazon and Ultraviolet merge almost did happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for at least, something to happen, because, I mean, now it's just called Digital HD, even though I think technically it's still Ultraviolet, or it's still the same, still the same format on there. I just want to, I've been redeeming those copies, and just, like, storing them. I haven't watched any of them, but I hope I can at least still store them on Amazon or some other space other than Vudu.
We're at this point now where, like, if you buy something new on vinyl, you get the digital copy. If you buy most Blu-rays, you get the Ultraviolet.
Yeah, that's why I still buy Blu-rays.
Yeah,
It's cheaper to get it that way.
I believe if you buy, like, a recently published book on Amazon, you get the Kindle version. We're getting to the point now where if you buy anything, you should get a digital version. Just because. Because, like, it dumbfounds me that, I own all of these comic books, like, tons of them. I own all these movies. I own all these books. And yet, there isn't a way to somehow get a digital copy. If I were to do that, that would be piracy. Even though I already paid my good money for it. I already own it. Like,
well, I think you're allowed to back up your own stuff.
Yeah, you can back up.
Technically, you're allowed to do that.
You can back up your own stuff. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
If you can
Create
rip
your
a
own digital
DVD
version,
as
yeah.
long as you don't use it with anyone. But doing
You
that,
don't sell it.
yeah, if doing that for a book is a lot harder. Like, what are you gonna take a picture of everything and then make a PDF, and then
Or just
convert that to an
photocopy of it?
EPUB?
I mean, yeah, you'd have to be really
Exactly. It would take
passionate about doing that.
It would take forever, and, like, we're at the point now. Like, for music, it's way easier. You buy a CD, you can rip that into a digital copy, no problem. DVD, like, you gotta have a little bit more know-how.
That's really where piracy first started, is music. Like where it became very easy to get a hold of.
Yeah, because, I mean, the MP3 format helped do that, and, it's very small. Like, even when the internet was, 256K modem, downloading a 3 megabyte song didn't take that long. So, whatever. I'm just saying it. Everyone out there, go download, or not download, but go store Monsters Inc. in your digital library, especially if you already use Disney's Movie Anywhere, because, it's a good service, and something like this, like, it's a coup. I already own the DVD, okay?
I know you love Monsters Inc.
Yeah, I love the movies. Now I can watch it anywhere. I can watch it on my phone, I can watch it on my PlayStation, watch it at anyone's house. So it's great.
I'm very old tech, and I still have the VHS for it.
Wow.
That's literally, I'm staring at the cupboard where it's at right now.
My Monsters Inc., it's one of the rare DVDs that has both the widescreen and the full screen copy on it. I'm not talking about the cheapo DVDs where you have to flip it over for that feature. Like, you begin the movie, you press play, and it says, do you want widescreen or you want full screen?
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, fuck that. But, for people that don't mind pan and scan, or that have a 4:3 display, and they're, like, whatever, like, that's a cool feature. They should have always done that. Like, how many DVDs I own that are full screen, and because I was too young and I didn't know, and I'm not going to go out and buy them anyway now. Like, fuck that. Like, Inside Man. My Inside Man is full screen, I believe.
It's not like...
My Clerks 2 is full screen.
Yeah, I mean, I've realized now that, like, it depends on whether a movie is shot anamorphic or if it's shot spherical, that getting a pan and scan version isn't that bad.
Even still, though,
and I still have some, but now that I have, like, and I'll still watch them, but now that I have a widescreen TV, as does everybody, like, I'll stick with the widescreen version. Yeah. I mean, but hey, I still have VHSs that I pop in sometimes, so like, I'm perfectly willing to make compromises. Like, as far as obsessing over picture quality, like, it's always story and character when you're watching something. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. I got one last big thing here.
But when you have a choice like that, just with Monsters Inc., I'm just saying, fuck that.
Got one last thing here, and you already kind of know about it. So last week, we were talking about rumor mill, what Apple's going to announce at their event. We knew that iPhone 6s was coming. Pretty sure an Apple TV was coming. Everything else was someone's guess. So, like, iPad Pro was announced, and the Apple Pencil, and yes, the phone and the TV. Um, the interesting thing here is that despite Apple being about moving into the future and making the best thing available, and I watched the whole keynote several times. They said the iPad Pro is the best tablet on the market. The iPhone 6s is the best phone on the market. It's not even close to true. But what's weird is, they've been connected so long to the entertainment industry and pushing things forward. Like, the reason why things don't have a CD, or not CD, but disk drive anymore is because Apple eliminated it on the first MacBook Air, and now it doesn't exist. And that was to make sure
you
that
got to buy them separately.
Well, not even that.
Yeah.
Just people don't even know that you can buy them. So, they don't even mix CDs anymore. Unless you're a professional, you don't need a use for a Blu-ray drive. And good thing you don't need a use for it because Apple doesn't make them anyway. But so they announced their Apple TV, which is supposed to be groundbreaking. There are some cool features. Like, it has that Amazon Fire TV thing where you can use your voice to search for something, but it's more instinctual. And you should watch the demo. It's pretty cool. It's like, I want to see the episodes. The example they use is like, I want to see Modern Family, and then they go, "Hey Siri, can you jump to the part where Edward Norton's in it?" And I'm sure that's not going to work nearly as good as it did on stage, but very cool. The problem isn't the functionality. The problem I have is the specs. And I saw that you tweeted at me, and then you deleted your tweet, and I don't know why. They made a big hoorah about the iPhone 6s having the capability to shoot 4K, which is really late to the party. I'm just saying.
I had a problem with my phone. That's all I'm going to say with that tweet. I didn't delete it on purpose. Yeah.
Okay. Well, they're really.
I had bad service.
They're really late to the party on the 4K thing. Okay. I'm not talking about a display. Not many phones are going to do that. Okay. That's Sony jumping through hoops to get more money. My old phone, I bought it recently, but this phone was made in like 2 years ago. It has 4K. Most flagship phones, anything by Samsung, like the Galaxy series, the Note series, anything by HTC, they all have it. And they're making like a big thing about it. Oh, we got 12 megapixels now and we can shoot 4K. They announced their Apple TV that can't even display 4K.
Okay, well, you're talking about the Apple TV, not the phone?
Well, neither. Their phone's display is, it's...
Because that's what I remember your tweet being about, is mainly about the phone.
No. Well, I was prefacing their announcement that if it doesn't have 4K, don't call it the best phone on the market, which is true.
See, because... Well, that's what I was commenting on, because did you read my tweet?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, I mean, what I was basically saying is, having resolution, that's different from what your phone is capable of doing. And
well, the phone's not capable of anything special anyway, still. So
well, in the case of if they were capable of doing more than just having 4K resolution, like that would be a bigger thing. I mean, because we all know 4K on a phone, that's kind of a waste of space.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah, you should use that space to do more. Be capable to do more on your phone, which if that were the case with Apple, that would be a smart decision.
Yeah, but they made a big thing about them being able to shoot 4K and having the bigger megapixels and having a refined sensor and all of these things. And the biggest thing that they announced that day was the Apple TV. That was the new product, basically, even though it was a relaunch, a rebranding. You just got this fancy new phone that you paid a lot of money for. You're shooting this too many pixels that matter. You have no way to display it. Their MacBooks don't have 4K displays. I do believe you can buy one of their cinema displays, which are 5K actually. The new iMacs are 5K, I believe. But most people don't own iMacs. They own a MacBook Pro, or they're going to get an Apple TV and use AirPlay. So what's the point of putting this fancy camera on your phone if you're not even supporting it yourself?
In defense of Apple, this stuff, it's still very much in its infancy. So I mean,
but it isn't. It's moving quick. We just talked about earlier in the episode, the ultra high def Blu-rays are coming in 2 months.
I know, but that's the thing, is that it's not there yet. It's moving very quick, and every
Netflix
company
has ultra HD. Amazon has it.
Yeah, and how well is that working for them? Do
I
you
know
know people that are actually streaming for that?
probably Breaking Bad's on
That
there.
even have the bandwidth to be able to stream
It's
it for
actually
that?
not
I
that.
mean,
It's not that intense actually.
yeah, it'll be a bigger, much more, common thing among consumers probably
Next
within the
holiday.
next two
Yeah.
years. Yeah. But I mean, right now it's something that everybody is still trying to figure out.
My thing is though,
So I mean, I can't get
they
like
hadn't
burnt up about
refreshed
it.
their line for the Apple TV in years, and that was their big. Like, the iPad Pro, we all knew that was coming. Like, okay, cool, it has 4 speakers now. Um, but like, what's the point of releasing something that's outdated now? Like, it is. Like, they've always been behind the times. Okay,
No, they've got Siri. That's
Eh,
that's one thing they have got.
their big feature about Siri this year is that now you don't have to hold the button to use it. I can at any time say "Okay Google" on any screen. My phone does that anyway. Like, that was their takeaways were, okay, we took "Okay Google" and added that to Siri. We took the Galaxy Note Pen and added that to the iPad. We took this and we added it to our phone. Like, they were just copying things from other people, and that's what they've always done. Like, the way that Apple stands apart is by doing proprietary stuff, like Thunderbolt or FireWire. They invented FireWire and that died. Or the 2-button mouse. Okay, if you want to go back in time, the touchscreen. But most of the time, like, they're late to the party, and they have problems admitting that. Like, they didn't add SD card. I'm sure that your MacBook Pro, I know for a fact yours has an SD card on it.
It does, yeah.
They didn't do that until like 2009. And now, like, the standard, like, that size SD card doesn't really exist anymore. Like,
No, yeah, no, you need like a. I've had problems like putting that in, putting a card into other people's computers.
Yeah.
Like, I can only do it through mine and then transfer it through USB. That's.
it's stupid.
I mean, it's really, I don't know, it's really weird. Like, I choose not to get obsessive over, this whole thing of like, just different companies competing on like who's there first with technology. Like, I'm not one of those Apple followers.
Yeah.
I know that they hype themselves up to hell. I mean, the best, as far as the best thing that I can say about them is that they make the sleekest looking products.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, compared to everybody, that's why
Yeah,
they got the
unibody design is,
reputation.
well, it's not exactly unibody, but yeah.
I mean, they try to look more cutting edge. Like, even my old iPod Classic, I still think that
Yeah, it's
looks
good looking. They make
that's
good
like,
looking
yeah,
devices.
It's 10 years ago, and it's
I mean,
still like I look at that and I still see the future.
That's
in
what
that. I
happens
mean, they look,
when
yeah.
you make your own hardware and create the software for it. When you have a vertical like manufacturing like that, it's gonna be good. Like, that's just how it works, And so they're the only one that does it, really. And so you're lucky. There are other examples, like you can use like the Nexus phones for Android, like Google makes, like, kind of puts their hands on those and make them special, or like Chromecast to a lesser extent. Like, there are other versions but they are alone in that, and that's what they sell themselves on, because it is that premium build, because we make the premium devices with premium features. But my whole thing is, I'm not in that anymore. Like, I used to be in the cold Mac. Like, I would be on MacRumors.com all the time, always reading stuff like, I'm not going to buy the product until I know everything, blah, blah, blah. And I got out of that when I realized that that's not true. Like, they, from the outside looking in, or from the inside looking out, rather, like, people that are, especially iPhone users, like, there is this certain feeling, like this stigma that you're not as good as me because I have this. And it is true in many extents, because think about just accessories, cases, apps that are premiered first, like Instagram or Crossy Road, whatever. Like, they do still have that we came first mentality, and it is true. But there's, like I was saying to begin this conversation, they're late to everything else. Like, they have a 12 megapixel camera. Okay, my crappy Sony phone has a 20.7 megapixel camera.
I mean, but keep in mind, though, the people that they're trying to sell this to, they're not as aware of all these technical specifications, Like,
you should be pretty
they
aware
just,
that point-and-shoot
yeah,
cameras 10 years ago had 12 megapixels.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's, they're just marketing to people, and, like, I can't find myself getting upset about that. Like, it may fulfill their product. It fulfills the basic needs of what people might need, and they have their audience, so... Hey, I mean, that's fine. I'm not a tech critic, so I can't.
I mean, it is exciting.
I can't get upset over it.
I just
yeah.
think about how many independent filmmakers or film school students out there that shoot their stuff on iPhone because it's possible, it's easy, and the fact now that they can do that on 4K is pretty cool. But I just
And if they're good enough, they can do the research and they know what product they would need to do what they want to do, and that may not necessarily be an iPhone. It could be anything else that's out there. You just said it could be a Galaxy. It could be the options out there are pretty much limitless at this point. I'm not cut up in the Mac cult. Like I still I maintain this on like everything. Any good phone is one that can make a call. Because that's what phones are supposed to fucking do in the first place. Any good computer, any good computer to me is one that at least I can use I can use the internet on. That's a computer that works. If I want to do other stuff on it, then I got to do a bit more research and find what I really need. But I'm fairly simple on my needs on a technology basis. That's just me.
I'm pretty critical about most things, so.
This is a very low-tech podcast, and we're doing fairly well for what we're creating. You can understand this pretty clearly. So, I think we're doing, it's pretty insane still what we're able to do right now. To me, the fact that we're not in the same room and we're able to chat 40 miles apart just through the internet and still get decent audio, that's an insane thing to me. And we're hardly anywhere close to having the best tools out there. So,
well, if you,
but yeah. Anyway, getting back to Apple, it's, it's technically not right, but I find it hard to care. They have their audience, they're going to be able to cater to them, and they'll be fine. They have a bunch of other different sources of income, so they'll be fine.
Okay, well, we're running really late on this episode now. It's like an hour and a half, but we're just going to keep on going because fuck it, because no one listens anyway, right?
I'm talking.
One last news point before we get into what we digested. UTA signed the world's first Periscope star to an agency. We're there now. There's already been people that have become gotten talent contracts for Vine and obviously YouTube and podcasts too. But Periscope now there's people that are famous for live streaming from their phone what they do. I think that's insane. We're there now.
If anything, the best thing that I can say about this is that just the access to all this different stuff is entertainment. It's being more and more democratized. You know what I mean? We're just getting more and more niche markets. As far as entertainment, it doesn't seem like the mainstream is going to be a thing much longer. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure of that. I think it's just there's going to be lots.
At least it's not as big as not now, but as big as it was years ago.
Yeah. Even now it's not what it was. 15 years ago. Back in the day, if obviously on radio it's still about the same. But I remember TRL on MTV. It's if it wasn't shown on there, it wasn't good. That was the mentality. Even if it was number 10 on TRL, that still meant it was just good enough. Okay, and we definitely aren't there anymore. It is past that, and it's probably because of the internet and the things that come with it, like social media and being able to make your own decisions or pretend they're yours anyway. And
you can be entertained by whatever you want. If that's what it is, then personally I'm not there, but I can believe that at least some people in the world are.
Well, let me stop you there. Let's talk about some things that we can. You said we can be entertained by whatever we like. The last 2 nights or 3 nights rather, I've watched some sci-fi movies from this year that most people didn't like. That I was entertained by. I saw Chappie 3 days ago, which I actually liked a lot. Definitely a lot more than most of the world. So much so that it's my favorite Neil Blomkamp film.
Okay, I won't go that far, but okay.
Well, there's only 3 of them, so it's not hard to choose.
Yeah.
But no, I really liked it. I'm not sure if you caught this. It's like a spiritual successor to RoboCop. It is the RoboCop story, except it's instead of half man, half machine.
In a way,
he
yeah.
is all robot, but because of the consciousness thing, like it still has that concept. It's like, what if it's a man in the machine? But
Hmm.
I'm talking like going from it's kind of like switched up. Instead of being a man that becomes a robot cop, it's like a robot cop that becomes a man. But then I'm talking like the Moose. Hugh Jackman's robot looks exactly like the Ed 209. Like it has the same kind of concept. Like it's like, okay, the scouts, that's for everyday usage in the streets, but this is the Ed 209 that'll fuck shit up on a military scale. Like when OCP needs to do bad things. And I don't know. It didn't have the camp to it. It had very little ultra violence, and the tone wasn't the same, not even by a mile. But it was just the story and the themes and how like it came together with like the street angle and like in an area with bad crime. Like it worked in the same way for me in a different kind of spectrum. But I think it was that plus the performances. Like Di Antwoord was good in it. Dev Patel was good. Hugh Jackman, his mullet was really weird. Like I'm saying that with one. Like Ninja's was good. I liked his, but yeah, I don't know. And then like when I was researching and reading about it some more, I was intrigued by like there was just so much of like Chappie using a cluster of PlayStation 4s to make a supercomputer. I thought it was awesome. Like that's great advertising. Like that's good product placement for Sony.
You know what? Yeah, at the time that it came out, that's
Uh-huh.
all that came to mind because that was pretty close. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, keep going.
Well, I mean that's all I got. Like I don't know. Like I understand why it didn't do well
Mm-hmm.
because based on his two other films, this is very different.
Oh, it's very out there. For
Yeah, it's
sure.
very it's like, I read something online like the movie is Short Circuit meets RoboCop, and that's about it. It's you got this cutesy robot who's like becoming like learning about humanity, and it's a comedy, and then there's like another side which is like dark and violent with guns, and so I personally think Chappie would work for kids. Like it's almost a kids movie.
You know what? I gotta stop you right there. I don't think it is
Like
at all. I
not
think
not like a
I think there's
family
kid.
friendly, but
Like I think there is a kid in the movie,
uh-huh.
and he's being raised to do some pretty awful stuff, and he's incredibly innocent in there. But
Chappie
yeah,
don't
no,
like Chappie
definitely
don't
not.
do it.
Yeah, no, he basically is a child.
I love Sharlto Copley's performance capture. It was
Oh,
so good,
no,
man.
yeah, he's really good. God, it's been a while. Like my memory of it is I don't dislike the movie,
Hmm.
but I'm really torn on it because I mean this was Neil Blomkamp, who I don't know about you, but I love District 9.
I
Really
want to
enjoyed.
rewatch it, but I didn't like it the
Yeah.
first time I saw it.
I was one of the crowd that absolutely loved it. Elysium I really enjoyed.
Really?
There's I don't like
I
the
thought that was so
heavy-handed
bad.
I don't like the heavy-handed healthcare thesis of
Uh-huh.
the movie, at least the way that it's conveyed.
Yeah, the way
And,
they do it. Yeah.
just based on the rules of that world, like I really, I mean, unless maybe that's just satire and like okay, as if politics wasn't stupid enough already. 150 years from now, we're gonna be even fucking dumber and more ignorant
Yeah,
or whatnot. But yeah,
we're gonna have these halos that are kind of like that planet from Interstellar.
yeah. Well, no, I mean, it looked like straight up like Halo, but
Yeah, well, it was a halo.
you know,
Yeah,
yeah.
it had that Interstellar
But,
thing where it's like you walk around it and whatever.
I mean, but yeah, no. Anyway, I did have fun with Elysium just as a piece of original sci-fi. I didn't take it too seriously. Chappie
I liked it.
really puzzled me, man. Like I love the Grand Theft Auto stuff. Like
Yeah,
I
like,
laughed
there-
pretty hard at that.
There's some like just seeing this robot with like sprayed on tattoos and
Like,
and
it's
bling
just funny,
and walking
man.
a
Like-
certain way and saying certain things and like the gullibility and his innocence and like
Yeah, like,
this whole
it's
maker
so-
versus parenting thing and like the black sheep and the fact that you have this really obscure rap group from South Africa like playing themselves like wearing shirts with their own names on them and I don't know like it was by no stretch like great or anything but I enjoyed it throughout. I knew what was gonna happen, but like at the end of it, I wanted a sequel, and it was obvious that it was made with an intention for one, and then when I read it was supposed to be a trilogy, and it just sucks that it didn't make that much money worldwide, and it didn't get good reviews, and Neil Blomkamp's moving on, and I said in my reviews, like, if Chappie had to be a martyr for a good Alien sequel to finally happen, I'm okay with that, but Fox better not fuck it up, because this could have been a good series, I feel, like maybe it wasn't perfect.
It could have been a good movie.
Yeah, I thought it was. It was very different. Like, it was very off-center.
Yeah.
Like, I think because, I do like tech stuff, like, it worked for me. Because, I'm not interested in Transcendence. Like, fuck that concept. But this movie kind of has that same concept. It's just, that's not what it's about. It's about other things.
I think I was more into it when it was in Transcendence. But, I mean, that's just me personally. But, I mean, I have more respect for this movie though than Transcendence. I mean, yeah. First off, just the Grand Theft Auto stuff, so absurd, but like I couldn't.
You sleep now. You go to sleep. Are you sleepy?
I mean, but like
why you no sleep?
You brought up having what's his name, the South African rapper in the cast. I mean, you basically
Ninja from Die Antwoord.
Yeah, I mean, aside from Hugh Jackman and Dev Patel, who's
the mother,
fairly...
his girlfriend, she's the other half of that rap group.
Yeah, she's that guy's wife in real life
Yolandi
too,
Visser.
right? Yeah.
Who's like in the running, mind you, to be in Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Okay, well, but yeah, just anyone like, I mean, Neil Blomkamp, being given a fairly decent amount of money by his studio to make a movie and
like
cast
80 million.
And cast that. Yeah, and to film it, I think it's, I don't know, maybe around 50. I'm pretty sure it's lower than
I mean, it was a lot of
Elysium,
CG
at least. It's probably in the District 9 range or above.
No, it was definitely above District 9. Like, I remember that had a real small budget for the time.
Yeah, but seriously, kudos to him for getting that cast. I mean, like,
right?
This is just stuff that you don't see in a Hollywood studio film, and I mean, just on that level, I think it's amazing. But I don't think that dramatically it was there for me. I tried to take it seriously on some level, and then especially when you get to that ending, I mean,
it was rushed.
Well, I mean, just that ending. Not only is it like it's really stupid, but like I do think that I don't know. Maybe it's me personally because like Transcendence kind of taps into that fear of like I really am. I actually I don't want to spoil it, but I don't know if I'm supposed to be moved by that ending or if it's just supposed to be like just really satirical, but like just that ending, like fuck that ending, man. Like wow.
Look, the way look.
We can talk about it.
Yeah,
we
got to move on in a second here.
Yeah.
But the way it starts, it has like the talking head interviews, and like it's like scientists saying something like, Chappie, who knows what he could have done next, and then it says 18 months earlier, and then you get this whole movie that only lasts 5 days. So they set up a sequel, and I want to see it.
If that is like a next step of human evolution,
I don't think that's what it is.
In a weird way, I don't know what to make of that. But I mean, it's just
I want to see. I like just the character of Chappie. Like I liked him a lot, and I want to see what he's great. Like as a teenager. Like, well, he is a teenager in the movie. He goes from like kid to teenager. I want to see what he's like as like a full-grown adult. And then the third film was probably him entering like peak performance and then becoming an old man and deciding to die or whatever. I don't know. I liked it. It was just weird enough, just out there, just like hard sci-fi enough, while being like over the top funny. It didn't take itself too seriously. Like not at all. Like even when it was being serious, like any of the Hugh Jackman stuff, like I don't know. Like it was fun to see him actually use his Australian accent. And then the last time that happened was that shitty Australia movie. So, I don't know.
Well, I'm kind of there with you. I didn't nearly enjoy it as much as you did, but I do feel it's worth checking out.
Mm-hmm. I think it's underrated.
I didn't think it was. Yeah, I didn't think it was a disaster. It didn't work for me, especially that ending, which I felt was just really fucking just ridiculous. But I think there's a lot of ideas in there, especially about artificial intelligence, that I do think make it worth at least giving it a shot.
Yeah.
And it's unique enough that it's bound to, resonate with some people, I think, just on that alone.
So, like I said, I did 2 films. The other one is worth a lot less of a shot, but I still also kind of enjoyed. I saw Jupiter Ascending by the Wachowski siblings. Yeah.
Oh, the Wachowski Starship?
Sure.
I think that's what they're calling themselves
Is
now.
it? Well, it went from brothers to
yeah.
siblings to Starship. Sure. I haven't seen Sense8. I'm sure that's what it is in Sense8. Not nearly same thing like Chappie. Like not nearly as bad as the world made it sound like. But by no stretch of the imagination, good. But I did enjoy it at the level that it was like a fairly decent space opera. Like, at least it was original sci-fi, and the scale, like the action sequences, even on my TV screen, were like great. Like just really cool action. I mean, it went by a little too fast, and it was like kind of macro. It would have been cooler. I mean, micro. It would have been cooler if you saw like galactic battles or whatnot. But to me, it was like Men in Black meets Star Wars.
To me, it's funny that you're bringing it up because it's kind of in a weird way the same exact reaction that I had to Chappie, in that
Really?
like there are great ideas in there. There was stuff that I clicked to. There were enough action scenes that I saw that I thought, this is pretty good. And there's a lot. I mean, just the ideas, like
There's some good ideas.
it's clear. Yeah, it's clear that they're trying, and the fact that it's an original piece of sci-fi makes me want to give it more credit. If I have to choose, I think I'd like Chappie a bit more because that
definitely,
narrative,
yeah.
it's pretty clear cut.
Yeah, it's like it's
right there
a
what
true
it is.
narrative, whereas Jupiter Ascending is just all over the
Yeah.
place, and that
It's so convoluted.
like
but,
okay, look, well, I give Jupiter Ascending credit for 2 things. One, it is a female-centric blockbuster. I mean, it didn't do well. It is a female-centric blockbuster. Maybe it wasn't advertised that way with the Channing Tatum stuff, who looks asinine in the movie. But I kind of liked it in a weird way. So they did that, and then on top of that, like, they do kind of make this whole like Shakespearean family drama stuff happen, which maybe it wasn't that great, but it was an interesting take. Like I said, it was a space opera. It reminded me of Star Wars to a lesser extent. But I thought it was interesting. It just wasn't done well because the whole movie, you kind of are in the role of Jupiter. You don't know what's happening, and you're kind of just taken into this thing and along for the ride, and you don't learn anything until the end, really. If it was marketed as like a mystery, then it would have probably done a lot better, but it wasn't. It was supposed to be that space adventure, which it was, but it really wasn't. Like I thought the best part of the movie was the DMV sequence where Terry Gilliam made his appearance. I thought that
the
was
Brazil cameo.
Yeah. Like that was the best part. Like it.
When that part happened, that's just immediately I was just like, okay, like the Wachowskis have clearly gone overboard. Like it's fun to watch, but at the same time, it's like
it took like 10 minutes
now
in the movie.
Someone has to rein them in back like a little bit now.
I don't know.
Like I mean,
Well, I know. I mean, you're a fan of Speed Racer, so.
No, I love Speed Racer, but like that's not that's supposed to be a fun live action cartoon. It's not something that is presenting serious ideas to me that I'm trying to watch in a serious science fiction manner. I mean, it's just pure fun, and it's pure visual fun. So I mean, it's just it's a different thing,
Not a
this,
bad
it's like-
movie. This movie's not bad. It's just it's not good. Like
Yeah,
it's if you want original sci-fi with some interesting ideas in it, and mostly good performances, like oh my god, Eddie Redmayne was so bad.
You know what? I loved
everyone
I loved
else
how
was
he
good.
hammed it up. Honestly,
No.
yeah.
No,
Went so over the
it's
top.
voice, and you will come to me, mother. Like it was so Shakespearean.
He went Bela
in a really
Lugosi.
bad
I loved
way.
it. Full on,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
kind of what it was. Like the other brother, I can't remember his name right now. Like I really liked him.
I don't remember the movie well enough at all. I mean,
Well, like Eddie, you know how there was the family, the 2 brothers and the sister.
I remember one sister.
I really like
but
the-
that's it.
Yeah, well, I like the brother. I liked Eddie Redmayne's brother. he's in other things. Like he's been cast in other things, so I'm sure we're gonna see him again soon. I think his name's like Bloom. Doesn't matter. Yeah, don't rush out to go see it. I wanted to do like it wasn't a double feature per se. It was spread across 2 days, but it was my underrated early 2015 sci-fi movie double feature, and it was fun. Like especially this far removed from the release, like I was able to make my own opinion. It wasn't everyone on Twitter going piece of shit, don't watch it.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a mess, but there's a lot of elements in there that I did find enjoyable, and it's one of those failures that's just like
At least they went for it.
Yeah, it's like I'm fascinated by failures, and like we've been on our reviews, like I've mentioned this so many times, like especially something like Fantastic Four, like which I'm sure has.
Wait, stop. Let's put this out there. Fantastic Four
way more
is a
setbacks
really
on it.
bad movie. Jupiter Ascending isn't bad. It's just all over the place.
Yeah, well, I mean, Fantastic Four is a movie that has like a lot of production problems and is trying to do something, but I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see what the full history on that is. But I mean, just in general, my point is like I tend to be fascinated by failures and how they happen. I mean, Fantastic Four though, that just seems like that was destined to be one though, right out of the gate, like with what was going on set.
Like Jupiter Ascending,
and the miscommunication there.
I was flipping channels and Jupiter Ascending was on HBO, and I had nothing else to watch. I might watch it for a little bit, just like I would like to see some of that action again, maybe. I would avoid Fantastic Four like the plague. Like I don't like. There's nothing of value in that movie.
If I was doing the same thing and I saw that the final action sequence in Fantastic Four was coming up, that's where I would not watch it. But I mean, yeah, there were other I pointed out in the review there were other things that worked for me.
Yeah, there were stuff that worked, but I don't think it's the flip by the channels. Ooh, that's on. Let me see. Oh, what is it? Oh, it's Miles Teller crawling through some vents. That's.
I don't know. I mean, really, it depends. I feel like they're both. I mean, for sure, like Jupiter Ascending and Chappie, like at least it's very clear what the vision is there.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic Four, it seems like there's a lot more interference involved.
Well, I mean, Chappie and Jupiter Ascending, directed, well, in one case by two people, but they're both directed by, directors that have vision. That clearly, they have bodies
that
of work.
Have a studio that respect them and know what they want.
They're respected by
Fantastic
the industry, whereas, Josh Trank,
yeah, that was a risk. That was like, oh, you made a cool movie for us. Like, you want to make a big studio movie? And then it turned out
you made a found footage movie that was pretty cool because it was like the superhero genre, but not really. And it was really dark. And now we're going to make a superhero movie that's really dark.
Yeah, I mean, it's just tragic, the whole situation.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you can listen to that in full detail. You can find that review. I saw one other thing, which I highly recommend. It's called The First Pitch. It's a 30 for 30 short. It's about 20 minutes long, and it's about George W. Bush throwing out the first pitch for the Yankees during the World Series shortly after September 11th. It was, I think, October 21st, 2001, in New York. Definitely worth a watch. Really good. As are most 30 for 30s.
It's only 20 minutes?
Yeah, it's about 24 minutes.
I mean, yeah, that sounds really good.
It's really good.
Yeah,
I watched
gotta make
it.
a note of that.
I watched it Friday morning, and it was like a really good way to wake up and like remember the time and what happened and all that stuff.
I got to make a note of it.
Yeah. 2 video games I played, or am playing. I'm replaying through Limbo, which is a great indie by it's Playdead, I believe. Not sure. Blanking. Just great, like, Chiaroscuro ambient look to it. Real simple. If you haven't played it, it's definitely worth it. Just fun isn't the way to describe it. It's very bleak and depressing. Just the colors that are used, or lack of colors rather, and like the things that happen and how violent it is, but not really.
Still pulls you in though.
Yeah, no, it is very immersive. On the other side of the spectrum, on my Vita, or I played both these on the Vita. Tearaway, which I'm playing right now, it's made by Media Molecule, the same people that do Little Big Planet. Just over top whimsical and fun. everything's made out of paper craft, and it uses the touchscreens in a really great manner. Like you'll be in areas where you have to use the rear touchscreen, and it's like your finger. It simulates your finger going through paper on the screen and like interacting with things. It looks really cool. It's really fun. And it is of note because Tearaway Unfold just came out on PS4, which is the reimagining for a controller. And I wanted on its original things. You know, it's like the remake concept that we were talking about earlier. But yeah, that's kind of all I've done. What about you? What have you been ingesting?
I've been super busy, but I did have time to watch one thing. I finally was able to get a hold of a copy of the Rogue Cut for Days of Future Past.
Oh yeah, I saw that on Letterboxd. Yeah.
Yeah, which I was curious about checking out, and
yeah, me too.
You know, to put it simply, that stuff was cut out for a reason, a really good reason. You know, it's one of those cuts where, you know, I still think the movie's fun, but you know, the Rogue stuff, it's nice to see it, but you know, it really does kind of like when the movie's done, it just feels like it's a waste of time, and it really just serves no purpose.
Only 18 minutes.
I think it's like 15 minutes longer, but I mean the scenes with Rogue specifically, it's like it's just a couple of extended sequences and then a bunch of like little bits peppered out into scenes that we already know,
but
that just extend them a bit, that are not really that have no purpose being there to begin with. It just they kind of drag on.
It does eliminate Ellen Page, kind of, right? Because it's Rogue that's sending Wolverine back, not
a little bit.
Shadowcat.
Well, it is Ellen Page. Like what happens is it's basically a rescue mission.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but then it kind of ends up feeling pointless because then once she gets there, it's just okay. It's the same stuff that happens.
I just want to
that.
see it because it would probably like not capture, but really make itself more a part of the X-Men movie like series. I mean, you know, Rogue, you know, Anna Paquin, she's pretty pivotal to the series. I mean, especially that first film. The first film is about her. Like, she's the central character. Like, well, her and Wolverine.
But, I mean, here's the thing is, like, aside from just the scenes with her, she really does not affect the narrative in any significant way, and just except for, like, one thing that she does, and that, you know, she's keeping him back in time.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. She doesn't really say anything. She's just there. And, I mean, another thing that's just really, like, this is what makes it a lesser cut to me is the stuff between that's added in between Beast and Mystique just really bring the movie down, and you know they have to change.
Was it added because they're dating?
It's added because they have chemistry, and I don't even know why it's put in, because there's certain things that are revised, like the whole you know how when she's going to DC and how Professor X finds out, like in the Rogue Cut, like, I'm sorry if I'm spoiling it, but it's really stupid the way that happens. Is that he doesn't find out. He basically says, "Oh, I got no idea where he's going." In the theatrical cut, he sees her ticket when he's in Cerebro. Like, it's that, and then you know, there's this whole thing between Beast and Mystique back in the mansion where she basically sneaks in there and spends the night there before they go to that, you know, that big third act set piece. Exactly. I mean, it just makes everyone seem fucking dumb.
That doesn't even make
especially
sense
Professor
in Mystique's
X
character. Like, that's not the kind of person she is.
Well, you know, it makes her, I guess, seem you know, less cold, and like, you know, like there's more hope. But as far as, you know, in a writing capacity, like I could see why they thought that would work, but when it came to, you know, actually presenting it, it really doesn't work. And that's the main, like, I think that stuff might even be a bit longer than the Rogue stuff, honestly. Like, it could just as easily be called the Beast and Mystique cut, like, if they wanted. Like, it really, because it really, I just don't know why it's there. Like, it really made everything seem dumber to me. I mean, and I even bumped the rating down for that cut specifically on Letterboxd. I mean, you know, it's still a fun movie, but you know, the Rogue Cut, hey, it's fun to check out if you're curious about it, but I mean, really, it's, you know, and I tend to have this attitude to extended cuts in general, because people assume that because something is released like that makes it better. The theatrical cut tends to be.
Yeah, the studio usually has a pretty good feeling about what a movie should be.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's. I know some people love the extended cuts of Lord of the Rings. I feel that the theatrical cuts are fine, and that's what won Best Picture. That's just me, but Yeah, Rokut's fun to check out just for that.
I
if you
might
wanna
eventually
see something slightly
yeah.
different.
Just because like like we've kind of talked about this before. Like if I've seen a movie before, I've seen it, and like unless it's been a long time, then I'm probably gonna remember most of the beats, or maybe not all of it, but for the most part. And so for something that I saw recently, and I have a pretty good idea of what it is, like an extended cut of that nature, like it probably will work. Well, like I said, like I'm probably not gonna see it anytime soon. But something I did see and I totally forgot, and it's probably because we already kind of went back and forth on it. It's on the Monster Squad,
Oh yeah,
which I thought was like
yeah.
pretty fun, but weird.
You're too old for that. Huh?
Yeah, it's what I
Pretty
said
much.
at the end of the review. Like I'm too
Yeah.
old for it. I do think I saw some of it as a kid, as I remembered the Virgin stuff. So I'm pretty sure I saw maybe the whole thing or just the ending when I was a lot younger, like 8. Which if I could remember, I probably loved it back then because that's like the age range. It's like 7 to 13.
Yeah, no, it's perfect for that.
Yeah, like it has some really cool stuff in it. It's just it doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't know if it wants to be like the group of friends comedy like Goonies, or if it wants to be the dark scary stuff like Fright Night, or not even like scary, but yeah, like it's caught
kind of in between that range.
Yeah, like it's not
he,
creepy, but it's not hilarious, and it's not spooky, but at the same time it like has a chuckle or two. Like there's some good stuff, but there's too much in it that isn't.
Well, it's kind of like one of those movies. It's like you got to be like at the perfect age because it's that perfect bridge, like in between kids movie and.
That's the thing, though. Like I think Goonies would work for most audiences.
Yeah,
Spielberg.
But,
so.
Yeah, and Richard Donner too.
It's not. It's not Fred Drecker
Monster Squad,
who directed
though,
RoboCop 3. So.
Yeah, but Monster Squad, like I can see that appeal, and there is stuff that I genuinely really like, or that moment where Dracula basically calls the little girl like bitch.
A bitch, yeah.
I love that scene.
Give it to me, bitch.
That is amazing.
I liked I already posted on Letterboxd. I really liked the montage. I like that song a lot. The Rock Until You Drop. Like I thought that was like one of those perfect '80s montage songs, and I'm a big fan of that. I thought the Frankenstein stuff was really good, especially with the girl. Anything in the treehouse. I like Eugene and his dog. I like the old German dude. But I don't know. It was missing something. Like it went too fast. It went from who are these kids to they're all friends and they hang out and they like monsters to why is there an older kid in the room to why I don't know.
It's more like the '80s formula rather than just like
a good
we don't
movie.
really see it working. We just see it's just this is the basic requirement of a Goonies type movie that you have to have. So we're just gonna make one.
I think it would make for a really good TV show. Like I think they could make, especially because the cult stuff is really in right now. They could make I think a fairly decent show with the same kind of concept. Obviously it would make more sense if it was like Monster of the Week. Like say okay you got the group of friends in school, they hang out, they watch monster movies and stuff. Maybe they have they make comics or whatever. They do something creative, and then monsters come from the dead. Dracula is coming back from the dead, or not the dead, but from an inanimate state, and he starts recruiting a group in much the same way that the kids are recruiting. And it gets to a point, say that the first season ends when they have their first confrontation with Dracula, and they run away. Who knows? Versus in the movie, it was they already got the full team together. Dracula's already got his full team, and then let's kind of go to war. And I don't know.
Yeah,
good concept, just executed really badly.
If
but it was
I was
fun.
Younger, I would have loved it.
Yeah, if I was younger, I think it would have been great. It was kind of like the live action Mad Monster Party.
It's tough for me to be critical on it because I know that there's a cult out there for it, and you know what? I'm cool with that.
No, yeah, it's not a bad movie.
Harmless to me, yeah.
It was good entertainment. It's just I was expecting, and I should have known since it's his first movie, but I was expecting some great dialogue here.
Even then though, there are some impressive sequences. Credit to Fred Decker, which
directed RoboCop 3, man.
Yeah,
he ruined RoboCop.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. To be fair, like the opening sequence of Monster Squad, come on, you have to admit, like
pretty good.
that hooks you in right then and there.
Pretty good,
Like, I mean, there is some cool stuff in
I,
there.
I like that.
I think he did a pretty solid
The
job.
title
and-
scroll where it was like they blew it, and then like right away I knew the kind of tone the movie was
Yeah.
gonna have.
That was just like that Shane Black wrote that.
Oh yeah. I'm not sure
I mean-
how much else he wrote because I'm sure he did the first script, and then that's why it says and Frank Drecker. Like I'm sure.
Well, I think they collaborate.
Did they?
More of a collaboration, yeah.
It wasn't. I don't know. Like I said this
wasn't perfect,
to my
but hey,
letterbox. You have this black and white buddy cops, and their dialogue is just falls flat. Like it's all horrible. And this is the same exact year that Lethal Weapon came out. It's like how do you have the same cop setup work so differently?
I don't know. Maybe studio interference. Maybe.
I think it was just the angle, like having the hard R. You can write a certain way, but it's just like that. The black cop, like he wasn't even close to funny. Like he was pandering to the audience, and like I don't know. But like there were certain shots in the movie that I thought were really good, like the treehouse stuff with the peeping tom thing. When the main kid is sitting up on his roof and watching the drive-in theater, like that was cool. Like that was a really cool shot. That sequence was cool. The mummy, using the bow and arrow on the mummy, like that was interesting. Like, I kicked the Wolfman in the nards. Like it wasn't bad. It'd be one of those movies where not only just as a kid, but I think it would be one of those things where like you're with your nephew or your son or you're babysitting or whatever, and you put it on for that kid, and them having such a good experience with it, I would hope it like makes you younger as an audience member.
I would love to see it again that way specifically.
Right? Like I think it
Yeah.
would just be a lot better experiencing it with the audience that it's meant for.
I mean, yeah, like I know that is something that I know I would have loved for sure if I was a kid. Like I'm bummed that I missed it, but that's life, I mean, it has its own cult, and hey, people love it, so
Yeah.
good for them.
It's like the
I wish I
closest
could be there, but
closest I got to Monster Squad as a kid was Halloween Town on the Disney Channel. Well, we've run way over, like an hour over. But that's okay. So thanks for listening. We're going to record our High Noon review in a couple days. I think we're shooting to have it upline on Wednesday. It's going to be a lot different, a new kind of angle. Basically spoiler-ridden, because it doesn't matter with something that's a classic like that. And in the
yeah,
title...
it's just a full-on in-depth discussion.
Yeah, like an actual talk. Kind of like how we got into here. But thanks for listening. And you can find us online. I'm at Brian Gillis. That's BRYONGILLIS. Send us some hate mail if you can, or some love letters. It's $.review@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter. That's @$reviews. Our Facebook is the same. Or like I said at the very beginning of the episode 2 hours ago, if you're still listening, our WordPress has everything, and that's $reviewspodcast.wordpress.com. Catch you next time.